missed us, well, we're back. Hope you had a good night's sleep. Mets are in Cincinnati, where they played, well, just about 12 hours ago. The Reds tied up the series at a game apiece, and the Mets and Reds will play the rubber game today. Do your kids ever wake you up early? Well, it happened to the Cincinnati Reds players today. Today is family day for the Reds, and they were out early with their kids, doing a little family bonding and playing a little baseball. Lots of caffeine for Dad. Get you ready for a big day at the ballpark with your kids. At Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, the New York Mets play the Cincinnati Reds. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Cincinnati. Gary Cohen and Keith Hernandez with you. The Mets and Reds finished up about 12 hours ago here in Cincinnati. The Reds bouncing back after a long rain delay for a 7-4 win. And now the Mets will try and get the rubber game of this series this afternoon on short rest.
Well, it was a 2.5-hour rain delay last night. It poured, and it just seemed like both clubs came out flat. And it just seemed like the first team that was going to score was the team that was going to get energized, and it certainly was the Reds.
And so the Mets and the Reds will both have ace pitchers on the mound this afternoon. But for both Tom Glavine and Bronson Arroyo, it's been a while since they've won. Glavine had his 9-game winning streak stopped in his last start in Chicago.
Well, Glavine hasn't won since June 23rd. A couple no decisions in there, and he lost his last outing in Chicago, as you said. He's been struggling. His ERA's been over 4 during this stretch, so he's got to start picking it up a little bit.
And Glavine, for his 3rd straight start, will be pitching a hot afternoon day game. Meanwhile, Bronson Arroyo pitched a great game against the Mets a month ago, but he has not won since then.
He is 0-3 since that brilliant complete game in New York on the 24th of June, and his ERA is over 4. So both starters tonight are one of the top pitchers in the National League, but both are struggling right now. Something's got to give.
It's the final game of the road trip for the Mets. They need a win today to finish off a winning trip before they head home to play Houston tomorrow night. Cincinnati's not a big celebrity town, but it was last night. We'll check in with the traveling baseball guys in just a moment. A business person special here at Great American Ballpark, but everybody's welcome. Last night, even some big shots made their way into the ballpark. Lots of people take baseball ballpark tours. Not all of them have the high profile of Tom Hanks, Ron Howard, and Dennis Miller, so they got to meet with the media during the rain delay last night.
Will you people please stop being the jaded media? You are here to entertain us. It's not the other way around. You with your free hot dogs and all the soft drinks you can have. What does your average rain delay do to your waistline, sir?
Are you guys just traveling around, going to ballparks and taking in games and just for the fun of it?
Yeah. Tommy's idea. Yeah. Tommy
I turned 50. I turned 50 about 10 days ago, and this was the dream that you have. Gosh, all the way back. When you will be able to go to all the ballparks you haven't been made to with a bunch of guys. The requisite was you had to be a baseball fan and funny to make it on the bus. These are it. No, we got a bunch of guys up in the box. They're just not famous like me. We were in Baltimore, Camden Yards, Pittsburgh last night, and the Great American Ballpark here in Cincinnati this evening.
And if you weren't in Cincinnati, which would be your favorite of the bunch?
Well, you know what? I think they're all. We're 3 for 3.
Yeah, they got the ballpark thing down now. I mean, that multi-purpose thing stunk, evidently. But now that they returned to one for football, one for baseball, the ballparks are beautiful.
And all 3 parks use their environment, use the city in ways that are, they're really architecturally beautiful, in addition to being great places to see a game.
And in all 3 ballparks, the pitcher's mound is 60 feet, 6 inches. So there's no monkey business on that. Although I like being in the National League, I must say.
Yeah, Tommy does not like the DH.
Well, I'm not a purist. I'm not a snob. I've just become accustomed to the hustle and bustle of that pitcher, having to get up there and face the batters that he threw at just an inning before. I like that.
Where are you guys going next?
Well, should we divulge our top secret? You think so? I don't know.
No, okay.
So far, we've had.
Where in the world?
We've been under the radar so far.
Okay.
So,
Tom is so influential. He's arranged a St. Louis Browns game.
That's right. Dennis is going to dress up as Connie Mack. He's going to come.
I've always said that you are the DiMaggio of our business.
You've said that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Smooth out there, controlling it.
Because he's hitting 56 straight fifties.
You bet.
Well, if you're looking for the boys tonight, the last we checked, their bus was on the way to Detroit, where they're taking in the White Sox and Tigers tonight at Comerica Park. Lots of traffic outside Great American Ballpark. The Mets and Reds, final game of the road trip. We'll have the first pitch coming up momentarily. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by ChevyOffers.com, the presenting sponsor of Baseball Night in New York. By Rico, move your ideas forward with Rico dependability. By Honda, see your Honda dealer and discover the great values now being offered. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. Willie Randolph, Jerry Manuel, and everybody else connected with this ball club and these two ball clubs working on short rest today. And Willie's substantially going with his regular lineup today, which is a little surprising with the quick turnaround.
Well, the only change is Nady's out, and of course LaDuca's out. You expect that. Castro's in there.
And there is the lineup posted in the Mets dugout, and they're graphically portrayed for you, brought to you by ChevyOffers.com. And Ramon Castro in the lineup. Endy Chavez gets the start in right field, hitting second, and you see what Valentin has done against Arroyo, who has been so good in his first year back in the National League.
I thought that Willie might give Carlos Delgado a day off today, but he's back in there. He had a nice at bat, his last at bat last night. Got that double into the gap off the left-hander Bray. So that was something to build on for Carlos.
Keith, we've talked periodically during this season about the effects that the new ban on amphetamines will have on baseball this season, and you would have to think that this is the classic challenge, a day when some players might have been inclined in the past to go to amphetamines for the quick turnaround on a hot afternoon, but those are no longer available to them.
Well, they're no longer available, and this would have been a strong candidate for this type of game. It would have been a strong candidate for going into the jar, as they used to say.
So what would be the biggest effect for a guy who might have done that in the past and no longer can?
Well, you're in shape. It's not a matter of that you're tired physically. These are the dog days right now. I mean, you're tired, but these guys are in great shape. The guys that are playing every day. It just would make you a little more alert, get you more rough and ready, up and ready to go at a quicker. And those are the penalties now for the amphetamines. Now that's not for the steroids, so it's not as stiff a penalty, but 25-game suspension. That's a month. That's serious for a #2 offense. And 80 games, you're missing half a season for the third, and that's. I think they had to be tough if they're going to clean up the game, and they certainly have done that. And amphetamines is not a thing that you can get away with now.
Well, we haven't heard about anybody testing positive for amphetamines, at least to this point.
And I think maybe Ritalin will be the next thing.
Not illegal as far as I'm aware, as long as properly prescribed. Let's say Reyes will get it started for the Mets against Bronson Arroyo, and what a terrific year he's had. The Reds' lone All-Star pitched a scoreless inning in the All-Star game in Pittsburgh.
And the Reds defense, you see a lot of changes today. Friel goes to center field. Denorfia in right field. Ken Griffey Jr. gets a rest today. Encarnacion, a lovely Spanish name. He's at the start at third base today. A little bit surprising, too, that Jason LaRue is starting behind the plate. He's a long night last night, early start today.
And the game-winning hit last night to boot. Reyes swings at the first pitch from Arroyo, and Denorfia in shallow right field has it. One pitch and one out, and we are underway some 12 hours after we finished last night. Reyes retired, and here's Endy Chavez getting the start in right field. Endy 3 for 10 on this road trip. He continues to shine in a backup role.
This is his 5th time this season that he's batted in a 2-hole. So he's been mainly hitting 8th and 7th in the lineup. And we just can't say enough up here in a booth what a fine job he has done both offensively and defensively for this Met ball club.
Corners come in against Chavez, and Arroyo throws cutter for a strike. You see Encarnacion at third in on the grass. Rich Aurelio playing first base today after playing the other corner the first 2 games of the series. And Arroyo misses with a fastball, 1-1.
You see Arroyo's motion there, the big leg kick. It's very wiry. He's tall, long-legged. Has that big leg kick. Stiff.
Line foul. 1-2 to Chavez.
It's kind of interesting. Most pitchers have the bent knee when they lift up their leg, their striding leg. Arroyo stays stiff with it.
Kind of like one of your childhood heroes, Juan Marichal.
Yes.
To left center field, hit well, done. Catches it going away. 2 out.
Rather nonchalantly. For someone that's a 4 in Stratomatic out in left field, I think he wouldn't want to be nonchalant out there.
I was going to say, you would have thought he was a Gold Glover the way he approached that ball. Thought he was Andrew Jones.
Well, it's a quick turnaround.
So he turned around quickly and caught the ball nonchalantly. So here's Beltran, who's had himself a bang-up series at the Grand Slam on Tuesday night. Had a double his first time up last night. 27 home runs, 78 RBIs for Beltran. In the top 5 in the league in both of the power categories. 29-year-old Bronson Arroyo.
There's the big leg. Watch the stiff leg kick. Then he bends the leg.
Fouled away, 1-1. Arroyo last year had his best season to date with the Red Sox, winning 14 games. But he's never been an ace before, and he is cast in that role here in Cincinnati.
Well, he's the first time in the National League. Went through the league. Well, we'll talk about it later.
And Phillips throws out Beltran in the 1-2-3 inning for Arroyo to get things started. Back at the ballpark, Glavine takes the mound, no score. Tom Glavine making his 21st start of the year. Here's the Rico Reds lineup he'll face. Rich Aurelia, who's been a red-hot hitter. Good career numbers against Glavine. Only one left-handed bat in the lineup today, and that's Adam Dunn, who hits lefties better than he does righties and has good career numbers against Glavine.
And there's Tom Glavine's numbers. See that he's been stuck on those 11 wins for quite some time.
Still tied for the league lead with those 11 wins with Jason Marquis, and Ryan Friel fouls the first one off.
Tom, of course, is 14 wins shy of the coveted 300 plateau. That would be something he desires, I know very much.
Right now tied for 25th on the all-time win list with Robin Roberts. Bunted back to Glavine, should have Tom, and he throws out Friel, one away. Ryan Friel, one of the pests at the top of the Cincinnati order, and it's interesting in the lineup today for the Reds. Jerry Narron has his 2 pests in there, Friel and this guy, Chris Denorfia, who makes his 6th start. He's been getting a lot of the time in right field since the Reds traded Austin Kearns in that big deal with Washington at the All-Star break.
And he has that funky, look at his top hand, how he shoves that bat handle in between that bend in his index finger. That is just almost like Nellie Fox.
And he hits the first pitch to center field, playable for Beltran. And quickly there are 2 men down. So both teams very aggressively going up there and swinging early in the count in the first inning.
Well, the Mets Geico defense, as you can see, Endy Chavez out in right field. That's Endy's 21st start in right this year. Floyd, Beltran round out the outfield. Basics the same. Infield, Castro behind the plate. This is Ramon's 28th start as a catcher, and he has done a solid job since he's been a Met in that backup role.
So here's Adam Dunn, 2 for 7 in this series, and he takes the curveball for a strike. Dunn has done well against lefties all year, and he's done well against Glavine. 7 for 17 in his career, including a home run. And he's got 30 home runs on the year. Glavine comes inside, gets ahead of Dunn 0-2.
Well, Dunn is hitting over 300 against left-handers, and there you have it right there. Those guys are great in the truck. They must have slept good last night. 307. They're quicker than me. Those numbers are stark right there, how he's hitting so much better against left-handers. Now, he stays in on lefties. I'll give him that. He has a good eye at the plate.
And Glavine is so much improved against left-hand hitters this last year. And And there's one of the reasons why. He'll throw that curveball. He'll throw the fastball inside to the lefties, and all of a sudden he's much more effective against them.
And Glavine's, like you said, 206 against left-handers this year. That was a good curveball right there he just threw, and Dunn just barely able to hold up.
Infield overshift on against Dunn. And another curveball hit to center field, and Beltran has room for this one. And so Glavine throwing 3 curveballs in that at bat against Dunn. Pitches a 1-2-3 inning. Spent only 8 pitches to do it. On to the second. No score in Cincinnati. How does gas for free sound? Every weekday this summer, the WB11 is giving away $50 worth of gas for free. Log on to WB11.com for details on how you could win free gas and avoid traffic tie-ups by watching CommuterCast. Carlos Delgado leads off the second inning. And he takes a curveball from Arroyo, 1-0.
And you see right there what Bronson's game is, a 65-mile-an-hour slow curve with a little bite to it, too.
Gotten a lot of mileage out of that curveball. Certainly did in his complete game 5 hitter against the Mets back in June. And he tries to go backdoor there and misses 2-0.
Carlos has had trouble in the past against Arroyo. 1 for 11 in his career.
Carlos has been struggling against just about everybody lately. Had a double his last time up last night. You hope that's an encouraging sign.
He's out in front there. That was kind of a off-speed curveball that stayed up in the strike zone. He's just trying to stay back. We talked with Rick Down during the game. You see he's out in front reaching, letting go with one hand. It's just a fine line between being in a slump and being right on.
2-2 to Delgado. And hey, you can talk all you want, I guess, about what's wrong and know what's wrong, but actually putting it into practice during a game's got to be a whole lot tougher.
You know, sometimes you go into a slump and you're in a slump over an extended period of time. You take all that extra BP, you come early, and you work and you work, and you feel like you're getting nothing out of it. You know you're working towards an end. You know that the slump's going to end at some point. It's just a matter of when. And if it just continues, it's almost like, okay, I'm not even going to hit today. Let's just try something different. I'm not going to hit early. I'm not even going to take BP and go into the game naked, as we said. Right out of the gun.
3-2 pitch, and he fouls it away. I would think the best thing that could happen for Delgado right now would be a little duck snort to left field.
Well, what would help him right now is an outside corner fastball or a breaking ball on the outside corner, and he just drives into left center field where it's pitched. Now, he's a power hitter and he's a pull hitter, and you don't. But when you want to work your way back, you got to start going the opposite field a little bit.
On 3-2, he fouls it back.
And that's a good cut right there. Those are fastballs away. And this is right on it here, and he's just missing. And that's the difference when you're on a hot streak or you're swinging the bat good, the pitcher makes a pitch like that, you've made contact, you're out of the box. You don't give the pitcher another chance to throw a nasty pitch to you.
This is the 8th pitch of the at-bat, and Delgado fouls off the curveball. So he's hanging in there.
Well, we know how hard Carlos works. He's got such a work regimen that we occasionally are seeing in the gym, the hotel gyms during the day, riding the bike. He's there every day.
Has his personal trainer with him, and he strikes out on a breaking ball. First strikeout for Arroyo, who's retired the first 4 to face him. And you wonder sometimes, we talked about it a little bit last night as we watched the strikeout.
Out in front again, see, reaching.
You wonder especially at this time of year, as Delgado gets a little older, he's 34, could he be working too much? Could that be an issue?
Well, 34 is usually is at the end of your prime. Your prime years are really considered 28 through 32, where you're at peak physical. You grow into, your body grows into being a man at 28.
Hit to right field by David Wright. Denorfia checking for the wall, near the wall, and he reels it in right before the wall.
Wow, that ball carried.
That's the way the ball usually carries to right field in this ballpark. Last night it didn't, but Denorfia had to keep on going.
This ball, David got under and almost won out, and you can see the flags. There's a slight breeze blowing out towards the Ohio River, which is out to right.
Denorfia nearly woke up some sleeping Mets out in the bullpen as he made contact out there with the fence right in front of the pen. 2 out and nobody on. Here's Cliff Floyd. And a sidearm delivery.
Now that could be dangerous. Well, here we're going to see it again. It's like the Mets guys are going, look out, look out.
I think he woke somebody up.
Well, look like they're having a Sunday barbecue out there, don't they?
1-1 to Floyd. Well, with amphetamines out of the mix, caffeine becomes an enormous tool on a day like this.
Or that whatever that Red Bull is, I don't know what is that?
Taurine.
Never heard of
caffeine.
Jeez.
Pulled foul.
Got something for everything today.
That's still legal. There are tools available for waking up on a slow kind of a day.
Well, they're intently watching and talking. It's so good to communicate, and as both Carloses probably talking about, okay, we got a tough nut to crack here in Arroyo. He's a crafty guy. They're watching intently, as they should, to pick up a pattern. That's a great shot.
And Floyd rockets one. Denorfia back near the wall, and it's out of here. Cliff Floyd with his 10th home run of the year, and the Mets jump out to a 1-0 lead. So Floyd, who had been held in check in the first 2 games of the series after a big series in Chicago, picks up his first hit of the series, and it gives the Mets the lead.
Well, Cliff has just turned it on. Started getting hot, turned the corner right before the All-Star break. Had a very long swing early in the season, and he's really cut down. And, of course, he's so strong.
Well, he's never going to catch his home run totals from last year when he hit 34. But he looks like a completely different hitter since the All-Star break.
Oh, they wanted a fastball up and in, and that just came back out over the middle and mid-thigh right in Cliff's wheelhouse. Mistake.
Valentine hitting at 286. He fouls one off. 0-2.
The Mets got a pretty much of a left-handed lineup. Switch hitters and left-handers in this lineup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So in the starting 8, there's only 2 right-hand hitters, and that's Wright and Castro.
The pitcher's a left-hand batter also.
Arroyo's lefties are hitting 296 off Arroyo. Righties 205, and that's the reasoning there. But as a result, Willie does not have a left-handed bench today.
5 right-hand bats on that bench, with Loduca and Nady getting the day off. So Glavine 1 run to the good, and Valentine able to hold up 2-2. Well, in his last start, Glavine got hooked up in a marvelous pitcher's duel against Greg Maddux, or I should say against Carlos Zambrano, where Glavine allowed just 2 hits in the first 5 innings, and that game went scoreless as Valentine hits one well to right. Denorfia back, and he makes the jumping grab, and that retires the side. So the Mets giving Denorfia a workout. Floyd hit one where he couldn't reach it. 10th home run for Floyd, and the Mets take the early 1-0 lead over Bronson Arroyo and the Reds. Get a keepsake photo of Pedro Martinez free in New York area copies of this Sunday's New York Times. Pick up the Times at a store or newsstand near you, and find more Mets photos in the Sunday Times now through the end of August. Tom Glavine's take to a 1-0 lead on Cliff Floyd's home run. Rich Aurelia leads off in the bottom of the second. Aurelia playing first base today, riding a 12-game hitting streak right now. And he takes a strike. I got a ball, and I'm calling home. I caught it, Mom. I did. He doesn't believe me.
Huge.
Curveball hit in the air. Floyd over toward the line, and that's the first out. Glavine using a lot of curveballs early in this game.
It's almost like he's been struggling his last, what, 4 or 5 starts. And I'm going to try something different. I'm going to incorporate my third pitch in here a little more, and that's what he's doing.
Has he even thrown a changeup yet? Not sure.
I got to pay more attention.
That's very unusual.
It's my job, isn't it?
You do. It is part of your job, yeah. Encarnacion takes a strike.
There it is. 74-mile-an-hour changeup.
Edwin Encarnacion playing third base. He pinch hit last night and had a 2-run single when the Reds came back. And the fastball by Glavine, 0-2. '23-year-old Edwin Encarnacion, second year with the Reds, and he's having himself a good year. Hit hard, past right, and a base hit for Encarnacion. So there's the first base runner against Glavine, a 1-out single, and that took a little chunk out of Wright's arm as he made the dive. Ramon Castro behind the plate today and doing a little work.
The old saddle soap, and that is a leather treatment. You can do it for your shoes. You do it for your glove. It's made of leather, and some guys love their gloves and really take care of them.
Now, what does a saddle soap do for the glove?
It gives it moisture into the leather. Your leather can dry out in the course of a season. So a catcher's glove lasts longer, I think, because it's more firm. So I never used the saddle soap because I just used 2 gloves. I discarded them. I never fell in love with my gloves.
Use glove oil at all?
If you were going to use anything, there's other things you can use, but saddle soap is certainly one of the products that you can use to treat your leather and keep it nice and, I guess, moist and to prevent it from drying out.
Good on saddles too.
Made of leather.
1-1 to Brandon Phillips. Well, we're trying to keep things simple today. 2-1. As long as we're paying attention.
You're very quick today for someone that didn't have a whole lot of sleep.
2 words. Star Bucks.
Right around the corner here.
Phillips just 2 for his last 34, but he had a big hit for the Reds last night. And Glavine behind him now, 3-1. Brandon Phillips, Scott Hatteberg, Rich Aurelia, David Ross, Bronson Arroyo, all pickups by the Reds GM Wayne Krivsky that have led them to the position they're in, leading the National League wild card race. And none of those cost a whole lot. Good change up by Glavine on 3-1. And the Reds are a starkly revamped team really since the beginning of spring training.
And that is as good a changeup and a good a spot that you can throw it right there. That's what sinking at the last moment, knee-high outside corner.
3-2 to Phillips. See if Encarnacion runs. He doesn't. Line, base hit. And the Reds have 2 men on. So back-to-back 1-out singles for Encarnacion and Phillips. Now you see the wild card standings in the National League. Reds winning last night. Giants won as well, so they stay 2 games in front. And if you extend those standings a little further down, there are 10 teams, 10, within 7 games of the wild card lead, including the Braves, who are 5 games back. Even the Marlins just 7 games back in the wild card.
And you've got Houston coming in this weekend. They've made a little run here. They're struggling offensively.
Got a great game out of Roger Clemens last night. Matchup of 300+ game winners as Clemens beat Maddox.
And they've always been a team now the last couple of years where they've had great second halves. Of course, they won the National League crown last year.
Now they'll need for Clemens to pitch well. They'll need for Andy Pettitte to pitch a whole lot better than he has.
And Oswald hasn't. How many wins does he have?
6. I mean, he's pitched okay. His ERA is good, but only 6 wins. 1-1 to Clayton. Mets will miss Pettitte and Clemens. Clemens pitched last night. Pettitte pitches this afternoon in Chicago. Mets will see Taylor Buchholz on Friday, Wandy Rodriguez on Saturday, and then Oswalt on Sunday. Mets will throw El Duque Friday, John Maine Saturday, and Mike Pelfrey on Sunday. Here's the 1-1. And he nicks the outside corner, 1-2.
There's the curveball again.
And there's the cheap upcoming schedule. The series against the Astros. We're on the WB11 tomorrow night. National TV Saturday, then back with you Sunday afternoon here on SNY. 3 games with the Cubs, including that early day game next Wednesday. Maybe we'll have a nice rain delay Tuesday night just to get you comfortable.
Nice 12 p.m. start. Dinner at a normal hour.
Breakfast at a normal hour. Lifted along the right field line. Valentine, Chavez, and Chavez a step into foul ground. Makes the grab, and they're 2 away. So Clayton fouls out. 2 out and 2 on. And here comes last night's hero, Jason LaRue. And I'll tell you what, the more I think about the way the Reds won the game last night in the 8th inning, the more surprising it was. Reds had 2 on and 1 out, and a 3-0 count on Jason LaRue facing Duaner Sanchez. LaRue was hitting 191 at the time of the at-bat. Got the green light to swing and delivered a 2-run double.
And to top that, we're hitting 146 with runners in scoring position. I think that was part of Jerry Naren's thinking there, was that he's going to get a 3-0 fastball. He's struggling. Might get a groove shot, which he did. He came through. Tip my hat to him right there.
Well, Jerry Naren has done an outstanding job since taking over the reins of the Reds last year.
Former Yankee.
Teammate of Willie Randolph. He was the guy who replaced the late Thurman Munson behind the plate for the Yankees. It was such an emotional night at Yankee Stadium. The Yankees took the field with 8 players and left the catching position empty. Only to have Naren come out of the dugout later.
And there was Bucky Dent, you saw there, another Yankee. Was a member of that team.
2-0 to LaRue. Hit hard, but right at Reyes, and he picks it off for the 3rd out. So LaRue scorched another one, but right at Reyes' feet. And so Glavine able to work around a couple of hits in the 2nd and carries a 1-0 lead to the dugout. Great American Ballpark opened in 2003, and as part of the complex here, they put together a beautiful Reds Hall of Fame. The Reds were the first ever professional baseball team back in 1869. They've had a rich history, including the Big Red Machine led by Johnny Bench and Pete Rose. Championship in 1990. There's Sparky Anderson, Johnny Bench. 5 World Series championships here in Cincinnati, the most recent in 1990. And now playing in this spanking new ballpark by the banks of the Ohio River. And hoping that this is going to be a playoff season for them. It's been a while for the Reds, but they've certainly got an opportunity this year in a depleted National League. Ramon Castro hits the first pitch from Arroyo to short. Clayton throws him out. 1 pitch, 1 retired.
Well, that 1990 World Series when the Reds just beat up on the Oakland A's of the Bash brothers. It was Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco. They just beat the living daylights out of them in that series.
It was stunning.
It was stunning.
I mean, the A's had been the dominant team. They had been upset in the World Series in 1988, won it the Earthquake Series from the Giants in '89, and were enormous favorites over the Reds in that series and never won a game.
Got swept right out of Dodge City.
Lou Piniella managed those Reds against Tony La Russa. And Glavine takes a strike, 1-1. Glavine with 6 hits this year, hitting a .194.
Just such a beautiful scene over the right field bleachers over the Ohio River. Well, looking over into Kentucky in the hills, you know, it's just right out of Huckleberry Finn.
There was a while last night we couldn't see Kentucky. It was raining so hard. And Glavine right past Arroyo and into center field. Right over his back. And Glavine has his 7th hit of the year.
Well, Tom can hit. We know that. He is a threat up there, and that's a fastball right. Oh, almost got his shoulder.
So the 2nd hit off Arroyo. And here's Reyes, who flied out to lead off the game. Reyes making his return to the lineup in this series has gone 2 for 10 in the 3 games. And the sidearm delivery lofted foul. So Arroyo using that different arm angle.
It's a dangerous pitch to a left-hander, and the reason why I say that is watch the break of the ball. It stays flat when you go sidearm, and that's right down the middle. What fooled Reyes was he was out in front because it was 69 miles an hour. But that is very, very dangerous to drop down to a left-hand hitter.
Taking a page out of David Cohn's book. Fastball misses high.
Conehead used to throw it to right-handers. So this gets a little bit dangerous. Now you become like, you know, a Chad Bradford, where you're out. You become it's nasty against a right-hand hitter. But boy, it's awful dangerous against a lefty.
It looks as though he's counting on the element of surprise, the way he kind of flips it up there, sidearm.
And he has the ability of really throwing a breaking pitch in the low 70s, which is extremely slow, which is much like what Sid Fernandez did.
One and two to Reyes. And he punches that one to right center. DeNorfia got a late start, but he runs it down. DeNorfia started slowly on that ball and then had to accelerate over into the gap, 2 away.
And he has been getting a lot of activity, 3-4 putouts in this game so far.
Well, with all the left-hand hitters in the lineup and all the curveballs Arroyo's been throwing. He's caught 4 and had 1 beyond his reach into the bleachers and right. That stands as the only run of the game. Cliff Floyd's home run in the 2nd. Here's Chavez, who hit one to pretty deep left that Adam Dunn caught his first time up. Chavez playing right field today, giving Xavier Nady a day off, and there's the curveball for a strike.
66 miles an hour.
Do you think he's Livan Hernandez?
He's a trickster. That's what he is. And there you see Endy's been clutch.
To center field, and Friel has plenty of room. And that retires the side. Glavine with a base hit, but the Mets turned aside by Arroyo, still 1-0 New York. There's one way to stay cool on a warm afternoon. A little mister. One of those in Phoenix, where the weather's so dry, keeps things cool. A little superfluous here in humid Cincinnati. Hey, attention, future major leaguers, have fun and strengthen your baseball skills this summer at the Mets Baseball Academy. Kids 7 to 15 can join the Mets for camp sessions in the New York area in July and August. For more information, 888-318-METS. Bronson Arroyo takes ball 1. Arroyo's done okay at the plate this year for a guy who had been miserable in his career with the bat before this season. Raised his lifetime average now to .082.
And ironically, this is a guy that hit 34 batters in the past 2 seasons at Boston. Has hit no one this year.
To center field off the end of the bat. Beltran started back. Now he's there. And you think there's a connection between the fact that he's now having to swing the bat and the fact that he hasn't hit any opposing batters?
Yes, I do. And I also, it's interesting because that Boston starting rotation, if you recall, has Mr. Martinez was on that, who hit a lot of batters now and has not hit a lot of people over in the National League now that he's had to pitch or hit over here.
Well, Josh Beckett hit him in the National League, and he hits him in the American League too.
Well, he's just nasty.
Yes, he is.
He's kind of surly.
He's got that attitude about him. Another curve to start off Ryan Friel, and that's been a big weapon for Glavine so far today. And he comes with a fastball, breaks a bat, and Friel will give up the bat for a base hit. Well, Valentine was playing shallow against Friel, and that cost him the possibility of a play.
Well, he tried to bunt his first time up, and that's why they were playing tight, because if he's going to push bunt or drag bunt, he's going to drag it to the right side of the infield.
But that's awfully shallow that Valentine was playing.
Probably a little bit. I don't think it would have made a difference on that ball. But that's just nice hitting by Friel, too. He stayed level, got jammed, and is able to muscle it out in the right field for a base hit.
So now you got to keep an eye on Friel. 21 steals on the year, and Denorfia takes the fastball for a strike.
And we go look at that top hand again, that Nellie Fox kind of grip he has. All you young kids out there, you probably don't remember Nellie Fox.
I don't remember Nellie Fox.
I barely do.
Great Chicago White Sox second baseman back in the 50s.
He used his baseball card. He'd always had that thick-handled bat with that way he holds his bat, much like Denorfia, and he'd always have that big old wad of chewing tobacco in his mouth on all of his baseball cards.
That's baseball. Friel back to first base. Well, here's a guy who holds the bat in an unusual fashion. What does that do to his swing? What does that do to his power?
Well, it takes away all of his power, and he is not a line. He is a line drive hitter and just a singles hitter. See how he's got it embedded in his. It's just very, very unique, and he's more of a hit and run guy.
Friel runs. Castro's throw on the money, and he got him. Wow. Perfect throw by Castro. Friel had a pretty good jump. Valentine with the tag, 2 out.
Well, this took a perfect throw. Look at this. No wasted motion. Can't get any better. Got him. Nice going. Ramon does a good job.
Great mechanics behind the plate and a strong arm. 2-1 to Denorfia with 2 out and nobody on. For the kids who are watching, how should they hold the bat?
Well, it should be the bat should go in your fingertips, not your fingertips, right where your fingers start from the basic palm of your hand. That first crease in your finger at the base of your fingers.
Hit hard, and Wright snags this one on one quick hop. Throws out to Denorfia's side, retired. We go to the 4th. 1-0 New York. Well, the Aflac trivia duck up early. Ready for the trivia question. Adam Dunn, 188 home runs since his debut 5 years ago today. Who are the only players with more home runs since then? I guess we should at least tell you how many there are.
Yes.
There are 5 players with more home runs than Dunn since his debut 5 years ago, and that's our question. Now, you were trying to describe to the kids how they want to hold the bat.
We'll do it real quick. I'll show you here. You put it right there, and then you bring your fingers over, and then you close on your hand over the bat. So you got it in your fingers.
Not in your palm.
Not in the palm of your hand. Same thing in golf.
Long run for Dunn toward the line, and he gets there. Sheds the cap, catches the fly ball. He's got the flip downs. He's an old-fashioned guy.
All right.
Aren't too many guys who wear those flip downs anymore.
A long way for him to run here.
He looks tired, doesn't he? He looked like he was exhausted after running down that fly ball.
Oh, he's a lot of weight to be moving out there. That's a big man.
And he was a terrific high school quarterback back in Texas. In fact, he was going to play for the University of Texas before baseball came calling. There's Carlos Delgado, another big fella. Although back home in Puerto Rico, he is known as Little Carlos because his dad is Big Carlos, 6'5", 340 pounds.
That's large.
So this is Little Carlos.
You see Carlos holding the bat in that thin-handled bat. You see where he's got it in his hands. Look, he puts it right in his finger. See, very nice. And the same principle in golf, same principle in tennis. You hold it in there, not in the palm of your hand. You lose. Tiger Woods held it in his palm. He wouldn't drive the ball over 300 yards.
Well, you lose that wrist snap, right?
Yeah, just you deaden everything.
Luke to left, and that'll be a foul ball. Third baseman Encarnacion, the only man who had a chance, and he was playing too far away to get under it.
And they got the shift on for Carlos here. And you made a good point last night that just you see the shift. Before, it was a very few people had a shift on. McCovey, Ted Williams, of course. Now, there's multiple shifts for it.
Well, in this series with Delgado and Floyd and Dunn and Griffey, it's almost as though this is some kind of standard defense. Although, it's interesting the way teams play it with their second baseman. You know, here, Phillips is playing at the edge of the outfield grass, and often against a guy like Delgado, they'll play that second baseman 20 or 25 feet deeper.
I would play him deeper.
That's one's hit in the air to deep right center field. Denorfia back near the wall, and it's out of here. Carlos Delgado gulps his 23rd home run of the year. His first since the 28th of June in Boston. And the Mets now have a 2-0 lead. So Delgado, trying to bust himself out of a slump, goes long against Bronson Arroyo, and the Mets up 2-0.
Well, we said that at the top of the game in the open, that he had a good at bat to go home on. And last night, the double in the gap off the left-hander, he waited nicely. Now this looked like a breaking ball that was hanging, but he stayed back. And here it is. We're going to see. Hang and slide. Oh, down and in. Not a bad pitch.
But that's his happy zone if that's over the plate at all.
So when he stayed back, that was the key there. Hit the ball up at the plate. He wasn't reaching for it, lunging. That's a good sign for the Mets.
No question about it. David Wright takes the fastball inside 2-1. David hit one to right field that carried to the warning track his first time up. Also, there was question whether Delgado would be in the lineup today. Day game after a night game. Willie Randolph runs him out there, and he gets rewarded with a home run. 2-2 to right.
And the Mets, once again, they're doing something they've done all year. They get on top of people early. They get ahead.
Mets with 2 home runs today have now hit 130 for the year. The Reds lead the league with 135. And the slider strikes out right. 2 away. Second strikeout for Arroyo.
Arroyo would give right-handers fits as you look at Cliff Floyd getting into the box. He comes from all angles. He's doubly tough against right-handers.
That's why righties are hitting just 205 against him, and why Willie has stacked as many left-hand bats as he has into the lineup today. And 2 of the big left-handed bats have gone deep, Delgado and Floyd. Cliff hit his 10th home run of the year to get the Mets started in the second, and he loops that one foul. First time up, Floyd delivered the Coors Light cold blast into the seats in right field. Does Reyes have a different dance with everybody? How do they keep track? There's got to be a little foot chart on the wall.
At least they do it in the dugout. I didn't like it when they were doing it in the top step. For everybody to see. If you want to do that stuff, do it down in the dugout where you're kind of, the other team doesn't see you.
Well, we can see.
There was a day when you do that stuff, you get drilled.
Well, maybe that's why Cliff's got hit 11 times this year. Hit hard through the shift and into right center field. Well, they challenged the shift, and Clayton couldn't come up with it, and Floyd is 2 for 2.
Well, Clayton got there. It just got under his glove. The ball was hit so hard. And Cliff again having a nice day. Look at it, he's there. He just couldn't, right under the glove. That was a bullet. And Cliff continues his rise.
And let's remember, this is a guy who a couple of years ago probably wouldn't have been playing today. Day game after a night game. Cliff often was on the bench. Not anymore. Valentine takes a slider low.
A lot of credit to Willie Randolph. I think when he took over this ball club, he kind of set the guidelines, which the manager should do. And they like playing for him.
Last year, Willie, right at the beginning of the season, told Cliff how important he was to this team. As Valentine hits a base hit through the hole, and Floyd's going to go first to third. So Cliff feeling his oats today, takes the extra base, and the Mets have runners at the corners with 2 down. And Cliff said no manager had ever done that before. Told him how important he was to the team and how much he was needed on an everyday basis. And he's obviously responded to it.
And you can see right here, Cliff, when he gets going, he can fly. For a big guy, got those long legs. Nice strides.
So a chance for Ramon Castro. Mets couldn't do much against Bronson Arroyo the first time they faced him a month ago. Arroyo hasn't won a game since, and the Mets have him down 2-0 and looking for more with Castro, who grounded out to short his first trip. And the slow curve in for a strike. Got it down to 65.
He's going to try to get the double play here by throwing that dip-de-doo stuff up there. Oh, there's 2 outs. Excuse me. Thank you, Gare.
Just trying to help.
You can say it on the air. You won't embarrass me. Don't worry. I can take it.
Castro takes a strike.
Everybody in the truck was yelling in my ear, too.
Oh, they're paying attention.
I won't make excuses. I fell asleep.
That's why we love you, Keith.
It's such a scintillating broadcast.
I'll elbow you in the ribs next time. The 0-2 misses away. 1-2 to Castro. And Arroyo wants a conversation with Jason LaRue about to backhand that last one. Well, this is a spot for Castro, who's driven in only 11 runs this year in 108 at bats, hitting just 167 with runners in scoring position. He's done a great job behind the plate. It's been rough for him offensively the last couple of months. 2-2.
Ramon, it's a tough spot for Ramon. He doesn't play a lot, and he's done such a wonderful job. He's been kind of pulling off the ball a little bit too much of a pull. He needs to start trying to go the other way.
And Arroyo strikes him out with a slider. Third strikeout for Arroyo. But the Mets add a run, and from a very important source, as Carlos Delgado hits his first home run in better than 3 weeks. And the Mets up 2-0 over Arroyo and the Reds. '86 was a magical year for the Mets as they won 108 games in their second World Championship. As part of the 20th anniversary celebration, SNY is counting down your top 20 moments of 1986. Visit SNY.TV now to vote on your top 5 moments. This is your last chance to vote. Voting ends tomorrow night. And tune in to Geico Sports Night as SNY unveils your favorite moments starting July the 31st. Home 4th inning. Part of the batting order, Adam Dunn leads off against Tom Glavine. Dunn flied to center his first time up. Glavine working with a 2-0 lead, and Dunn hits the first pitch to center field, and Beltran right there. 1 pitch, 1 out. So 1 out and nobody on, and let's bring back the Duck. Hey, Duck, wake up. Aflac trivia answer: Adam Dunn, 188 home runs since his major league debut 5 years ago today. Who are the only players with more since then? I said there were 5. Actually, there were only 4. Pretty big names.
Top of the heap.
The 5th is Andrew Jones, who has the same number as Dunn, 188. So I was half right.
You're forgiven.
So really, hey, if you can be forgiven, I can be forgiven. Dunn's looking a little winded today, wouldn't you say?
I wonder if he went home and got his rest last night.
Even his eye black is drooping. Rich Aurelia punches one foul, 0-2. Well, Glavine told me yesterday that one of his goals today was to limit his pitch count. We're talking about pitching on hot days, and this is the 3rd straight start Glavine's made on a warm afternoon. Mitigated today by the fact there's cloud cover, which makes it a little easier. But he said the toughest part pitching on a hot day is early in the game, just getting adjusted to the heat. As Aurelia pops it up. And Delgado taking charge 2 away. He said early getting adjusted, and then once you get adjusted to the heat, he said it's fine, and then you have to worry about stamina, obviously, later in the game because the heat saps you.
And you have to also consider that he is 40 years old. He is not a 23-year-old anymore, or for a 27-year-old. And you see the pitch count right now. That's outstanding.
That's exactly what he wanted.
Throwing more curveballs. For you folks that just tuned in, we have not seen him mix in so many curves in a very long time since he's been a Met, throwing this many curves. There's another one right there.
Encarnacion had a base hit that scooted by David Wright his first time up. I remember the last start had the great first 5 innings pitching against the Cubs, but even though he only allowed 2 hits in those 5 innings, he threw 82 pitches. Remember, the Cubs had a lot of foul balls to keep at bats alive. And Glavine goes after Encarnacion with his best fastball.
He went up the ladder there. 2 curveballs away. 1-1 count, came up and in, and Encarnacion was sitting on fastball, but he went up out of the strike zone with it.
Glavine's last win June 23rd in Toronto, so it's been 4 weeks since Glavine's posted a win.
His nemesis has been the 5th and 6th inning during this stretch.
Two and 2 to Encarnacion. Well, Glavine knows that right now, the way the Mets are scoring runs, all he has to do is pitch effectively to win.
Well, they've scored him runs.
He's had leads get away.
Yes, he has, and he's told our colleague Chris Cotter. Chris talked to him today. That's the thing that's been driving him crazy, is the fact that this team has given him leads and he hasn't been able to hold it. And I think that's true for most pitchers, but most pitchers would feel that way.
3-2 to Encarnacion, and he fouls off the fastball. So Glavine, after just missing inside twice, went away. And this is the longest at bat that a Reds had this afternoon, as Brandon Phillips waits on deck. Glavine hasn't walked anybody, and he hasn't struck out anybody, and he's gotten the quick outs that he's been looking for. But Encarnacion is making him work.
Another fastball out of the strike zone, upstairs.
Glavine was striking out a lot of hitters early in the year, but not as many lately. Curveball, and it just missed, ball 4.
My goodness, he could have got that call. Didn't miss by much.
Well, there were a couple during that at bat that he thought he might get. One of the fastballs that just missed inside. So the first walk goes to Encarnacion. A 2-out base runner for Brandon Phillips.
Now the next 2 hitters in the lineup here, we're talking about Brandon Phillips and Royce Clayton. This whole series, they've been kind of going the other way. Phillips got a base hit on a changeup up the middle. Kind of diving out there. Look at that. Castro calls inside. Ramon knows what's going on. I think they're going to change a program here and force it inside on him. At least get him to think about the inside part of the plate. Another fastball in.
And Phillips bounces it foul. 1-1. Well, you're talking about Glavine and how things have not gone well from the middle of the game on, especially lately, and certainly borne out by his earned run average by inning.
Much like Eric Milton. And there's 3 pitches in a row inside, so it's saying you want to dive out there, you go right ahead.
So now has he set him up for the changeup?
Well, he could definitely go away. He can do anything he wants now. He can go back in. But I think with 2 strikes, he's got to definitely go in. There's a changeup right there.
And the changeup misses, and now it's 3-1.
Right. He can do with 2-1 count. He can do anything he wants, and he threw the changeup. But I think if he gets 2 strikes on either Clayton or Phillips, he's got to bust them in, because that's when they're really diving out there.
Phillips, the tying run at the plate in a 2-0 game, has 7 home runs on the year.
Oh, good change.
And Phillips nearly swung out of his socks, 3-2.
Well, he was looking for some cheese, and he didn't get it. But came out of his shoes in this swing.
He ended up in a mousetrap that way.
So we'll see with 2 strikes what Tom does. The runner will be in motion.
Delgado will play behind Encarnacion. 3-2 to Phillips. In there for a call, strike 3. Got him looking at the fastball. First strikeout of the day for Glavine. And he carries that 2-0 lead into the 5th. Now the most advanced traffic information is just a click away with WB11.com's CommuterCast. Get real-time traffic updates on your computer every weekday afternoon at 4. Log on to WB11.com for CommuterCast. Tom Glavine takes a strike from Bronson Arroyo. As we start the 5th inning, Mets with a 2-0 lead. Glavine had a base hit up the middle his first time up. And he takes the curveball for a strike, 0-2. At this point in the ballgame, you've got a 40-year-old pitcher. He's got a 2-0 lead. If you're the manager, you want him getting on base?
That's an interesting point. You always want to get as many runs as you can.
But we saw what happened to Carlos Zambrano.
Well, but he went crazy and tried to steal bases.
It's true.
I don't think Tom's going to be doing that. That's a double-edged sword.
2-2.
If I had my druthers, you can't foresee. If you can get him out of the way and your 1, 2, 3, 4 hitters can score runs, fine. You don't need them.
Best solution is if he hits a home run, then he can jog. Slaps it foul. Tom has hit exactly 1 home run in his glorious career.
No, I don't think that he's got a chance to hit a home run here today, the way he's swinging. He's swinging good, but he's just more trying to make contact, I think. That's his style. And it's a proper way for him. He doesn't play every day.
And now it's 3-2. If nothing else, he's making Arroyo work. Three and 2 to Glavine. And he lifts one to left center field. Over goes Dunn. And Arroyo living with the fly ball outs. He's only gotten 2 ground balls in this game. And you wouldn't expect to be successful in this ballpark being a fly ball pitcher.
But he pitches up and down the ladder, and I've noticed today that all speed curveballs are down. Of course, you always want your breaking balls down, but he throws that fastball. He goes up the ladder above the strike zone, which gets under the bat. He knows what he's doing.
Reyes takes the fastball for a strike. Well, there you see that Arroyo has generated more fly ball outs than anybody in the league and pitching in the best home run hitters park in the majors. And yet he's thriving. Lifted to shallow right, to Norfia in. And there are 2 away. But Reyes has flying out to right field 3 times in a row.
How about that? You're right. I just looked at my scorecard. You're right. 3 fly balls to right.
They're like triplets on
You're
your
ahead of me. You're a
scorecard.
step ahead of me.
F9,
You know that.
F9, F9. 2 out and nobody on. Here's Chavez, who's flied out twice to left and to center. I mean, Eric Milton is a fly ball pitcher, but he hasn't been nearly as successful. He gives up home runs pitching in these hitters' parks in Philly and again here in Cincinnati.
Well, I think it's a matter of stuff, too. I think that Bronson Arroyo is a little bit of an upgrade in quality stuff. Not to put Milton down.
Chavez watches the fastball, 1-1. Arroyo's been a little erratic with his fastball today.
He got hurt in the fastball to Floyd over the middle and down, and the other home run he got hurt on was a breaking ball, and a good one.
And he's had trouble commanding that fastball at times. He's had balls that LaRue's had to lunge for out of the strike zone.
There's Tommy Hume, the pitching coach. Played against Tommy my first year in ball in the Florida State League.
And curveball fouled off, 2-2.
1972.
You were so young then.
18 years old. Very naive, too. I was very naive.
How naive were you?
I didn't get crusty till later.
The left center, and over goes Friel, and that retires the side. So 3 fly ball outs from Arroyo. Mets have hit 2 over the wall, and that's the difference in the game as we go to the bottom of the 5th.
I'm Matt Yaloff with a Chevrolet Baseball Day in New York update. The Devil Rays and Twins, and that's Travis Lee, and that is a home run off of Johan Santana, number 6 on the year for Lee. It's 1-0 D-Rays in the 3rd. Garrett.
All right, Matt. Twins have won 6 games in a row and need to win just about every time that Santana and Liriano go to the mound to keep contact in that wild card race. They're 5 games back. Big day for the kids here in Cincinnati.
It's summer. They're out of school. Day game.
A lot of day camp groups in the ballpark today. Look at the kid with the Oakleys on top of the cap. Who's he been watching? And a rifle shot to left field falls in for a base hit for Royce Clayton. So for the first time in the game, the Reds have the leadoff man on against Glavine.
Well, we're getting into that period of the game here now, the 5th and 6th inning, where Tom has had difficulties. And this is a mistake he made, a fastball up, out over the plate. So see how Willie plays it and keeps an eye on Glavine here.
Well, he had to go to his bullpen in the 4th inning last night when Traxel, who returned after the long rain delay, just couldn't close the deal. So Darren Oliver pitched an inning and 2/3. Aaron Hamlin went 2, and then Duaner Sanchez, who took the loss, pitched the 8th. LaRue lined one to short his first time up. And he hits one hard again and into left field for a base hit. Clayton takes a turn and holds at second. So back-to-back base hits for the Reds to start the bottom of the 5th.
Well, here we go again now. Tom getting himself in trouble. That's a good pitch. That's a good changeup, low and away. Probably wanted to get it maybe a little more away. But that's pretty good hitting by LaRue right there, and a good pitch.
So LaRue's been struggling most of the year with the bat. All of a sudden is perking up in this series. And a bunting opportunity for Bronson Arroyo with the tying runs on base. Arroyo flied to center his first time up. He has 4 sacrifices on the year. And the Mets will play for the bunt. We don't ever see the Mets run the wheel play, do we?
Not too often. There's another play that we did in St. Louis that I thought was genius by Whitey Herzog. I mean, maybe it's a little bit too early to use it here, but late in the game, assuredly, this same situation.
And Arroyo fouls off the bunt.
1 run, a 2-run lead, slow runner on first. It was our 5th play, because there's 5 different plays with this one. Everybody charges. Third, first, pitcher. The second baseman covers first, shortstop covers second. You leave third base open. You're trying to get the slow runner at first. So now it's first and third if you're successful. 1 out. Ground ball, double play. You're out of the inning.
So you're trying to keep the double play in order by getting the play at second.
Because the most important run is the tying run, not the lead runner.
Nice bunt by Arroyo, forcing Wright to handle the ball. And he does his job perfectly, advancing the runners to second and third. Well, the crowd here in Cincinnati hasn't had a whole lot to cheer about, and they give it up for Arroyo on the sacrifice bunt.
Well, those are all the fundamentals of the game, and this is what the DH in that other league, I won't even say that other league, what the name of that other league is. It just takes It just takes away from the game.
The International Leagues? Oh, no.
It's the pitcher's got to play a role.
You say
it's great. I love it.
You say that like it's an epithet. Here's Ryan Friel, infield back with one out. He takes a strike. You can say it. American.
Who's the junior circuit?
Yes, they are. The Cal Ripken Jr. circuit, not the Ken Griffey Jr. circuit. Friel is 1 for 2 and a broken bat single, and Glavine tries to come inside 1-1.
Well, I think right now Tom would be happy to get out of this with 1 run. Obviously, he would love to get a ground ball right back to him or a pop up in the infield.
Chris Denorfia on deck. And again, he misses inside. He's not getting that pitch.
Well, he's come inside now, and this is Ramon Castro. Watch the glove. Well, he didn't move it much, did he? But he didn't complain. And a call like that in this point in the game, if that was a strike, I think you get a reaction from Castro, say something to the umpire.
But there have been 3 or 4 of the last couple of innings that he's not gotten, whether he's missed or whether he hasn't gotten the call. 3-1 now to Friel, and that's become such a big part of Glavine's game. When he doesn't get inside corner strikes, it can sometimes hurt him in the long run. First base is open. And on 3-1, Friel hits one to left center. Floyd a long run, and he won't get there, and this will tie up the game. Clayton and LaRue score on a 2-run double by Ryan Friel, and the Reds have drawn even at 2-2.
Well, Cliff gets a bad, tries to come up and in with a fastball. Good hitting by Friel, and Cliff got a bad jump. Now, we saw earlier in the game that the right fielder for Cincinnati got a bad jump.
I wonder if there's a glare out there that's affecting the outfield.
I'm wondering here. Now, that ball drops, and the runner on second base, who was LaRue, did the right thing going halfway.
Here's Denorfia with the lead run at second, and he takes a strike.
But Cliff got a late break on that.
Friel, a fiery guy. He had a great series at Shea Stadium. Had 3 3-hit games in a 4-game series, and he's got 2 more hits today. Denorfia 0 for 2. Hit one hard that Wright snagged his last time up. And that one hit to right. Valentin was covering the bag on the pitch, and the Mets got fortunate there that that ball stayed up for Chavez. We'll say Valentin, when that pitch was thrown, was standing on second base.
I think someone might have missed a sign there, and obviously I think it was Glavine. But you watch Valentin now. That was a pickoff. And a lot of times pitchers get so focused when they're in a jam. I can't tell you how many times in the course of my career that they're so focused on what they're doing that they miss a pickoff sign.
So now 2 out and a runner in scoring position in the tie game. Dunn has been up twice and fly to center field both times. He's the only left-hand hitter in the lineup, but he's been a good hitter against left-handed pitching. Which I only bring up because first base is open. Of course, you got a hot hitter on deck and Aurelia.
You don't want to mess with Aurelia. You want to go after lefty. Go get Dunn.
Dunn for the season doesn't have great numbers with runners in scoring position, but lately he's done well. 9 for his last 18. And Glavine trying to tie him up. 2-0. Tommy went after him with curveballs his first at bat. Would he throw him a 2-0 curve here?
He can throw anything he wants. He's got good command of all of his pitches today.
Fastball, and he fouls it off. So Glavine coming to the inside corner with the fastball against Dunn. Trying to keep him from getting those arms extended.
Well, there's a case when you're you're 2-0. You get to be a smarter hitter and you get more veteran. You can look inside. If you don't get it, take it. That's a power pitch, a power. Now 3-1 is the same situation. And I don't think Tom will go in, but if you want to break a ball game open and you're a big power hitter like Adam Dunn is, okay, I can look for a fastball in here, look for something to drive and break this game open. And if I don't get it, if it's away, spit on it. It's 3-2. Then go to hitting.
Glavine behind 3-1. And Dunn hits one to deep right. Chavez back, has room, and reels it in. Dunn making a bid, but Chavez able to retreat. The Reds tie up the ball game on Ryan Friel's 2-run double. We go to the 6th, tied at 2. It's like deja vu all over again for Tom Glavine. Brilliant early in the game, but those middle innings creeping up on him.
Particularly the 5th and 6th inning. That's been a problem for him.
So the game tied at 2 as we go to the 6th. Time for the Best of Barbados vacation getaway. If the Mets hit a home run, one grand prize winner will win an all-expense-paid trip to the Almond Beach Village Resort in Barbados. To enter or see if you're a contestant, visit sny.tv/Barbados today. Heart of the batting order for the Mets as they try and strike back against Bronson Arroyo. Beltran is 0 for 2. And Carlos takes a strike.
Arroyo's one of those guys that goes deep into ball games, throwing over 100 pitches in the last 13 starts, 18 out of his 20 this year.
And Beltran gets ahead of one and pulls it into the upper deck foul.
And someone taught Beltran that. Just get your hands, so just get your head behind the ball and get the barrel of the bat out. Where you pull so many balls foul on the slider end. And he just comes over with that top hand. I don't know if I agree with that philosophy.
There's a few home runs that way. Arroyo gets him with a breaking ball. One away. 4th strikeout for Arroyo. Well, Chris Cotter has survived a couple of conies over the last 2 nights, and he's still with us. That boiler working okay today?
Oh, yeah, I'm feeling great today. You know, I had a conversation with, speaking of great, one of the great radio broadcasters of our time, Marty Brennaman from the Cincinnati Reds, about the Big Red Machine, and more specifically about Pete Rose, and just a couple of things about him. And, you know, one of the things was, Marty said if he hadn't had all this gambling issue, if it was just been a player, he would have been a 100% surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. When I say 100%, he said every writer would have voted him in because he had never seen anybody handle the media as well as Pete Rose did. When he was on his 56-game hitting streak, he would give equal time to ESPN if they were around then as he would to a local paper in Kentucky. He was just fantastic. And he was also great with young players. You know, Don Blasingham was a great second baseman here in Cincinnati that Pete Rose took over for when he first came to the Reds. And he said that guys like Veda Pinzin and Frank Robinson took Pete Rose under his wing, and Pete never forgot that and was always great to the young players. Now, I asked him how the fans in Cincinnati still treat Pete Rose, what they think about him. And he said as Carlos Delgado goes down on strikes, 2 outs here in the top of the 6th, he said that until the book came out and until Pete Rose finally admitted that he bet on baseball, everybody here still loved him to death because they backed him. And then what they felt like is, hey, they felt like they got stabbed in the back a little bit when Pete Rose went back and said, yeah, I know you all have trusted me and you've backed me to the hilt all the way, but I lied to you. So, but now things are starting to ease a little bit here in Cincinnati with the talk that some of the steroid users might get into the Hall of Fame. Now some of the folks here in Cincinnati are thinking, hey, maybe Pete deserves to get in.
No, it's an argument that will live on because there's passionate reason to believe on both sides. 0-2 to David Wright, and Bronson Arroyo has a chance to do something that's rarely done. That strike out the side on 9 pitches. Here's Marty Brennaman, Hall of Fame broadcaster for the Reds, who was very close with Pete. And frankly, Marty felt betrayed by Pete when the allegations arose. And there's the first ball of the inning. But, you know, I don't think you can equate gambling with steroids because the steroid rules weren't in the books. Gambling has always been prohibition #1, and every baseball player knows it. 2-2.
Well, if Pete gets in, then Shoeless Joe Jackson gets in.
Shoeless Joe Jackson should get in long before Pete gets in. It's my way of thinking. Pete Rose knew exactly what he was doing, did it hundreds and hundreds of times, and then lied about it. Now looking is right. Arroyo strikes out the side against the heart of the Mets batting order. 6 strikeouts for Arroyo. After the Reds tie the game, the Mets go down 1-2-3. Sitting pretty on a Thursday afternoon. Tom Glavine pitching for the Mets. Cliff Floyd banging a home run, and he has company because Carlos Delgado got off the schneid and hit one as well to give the Mets a 2-0 lead. But Ryan Friel's 2-run double has tied it up for the Reds. And so in the rubber game of this series, we're now in the bottom of the 6th inning at Great American Ballpark with the game tied at 2, and Rich Aurelia leading off against Tom Glavine in the home 6th inning. Waves at the changeup, 0-1.
Well, Glavine out there for the 6th. He fought his way through the 5th, gave up the 2 runs. It's interesting here. The Mets have not won consecutive series since that outstanding road trip they had where they went 2-1 in Los Angeles, swept Arizona, and swept Philadelphia. That was back in the first half of June.
Well, that's a bit water since then. They've had a couple of opportunities to get to 20 games over 500. They had another chance last night and came up short. Aurelia pulls it foul. And a lot of it has had to do with the starting pitching. Over the last 21 games since June the 24th, Mets starting pitchers are 7-9 with a 6.66 ERA and have averaged less than 5 innings per start.
And ironically, the
curveball hit toward the hole, base hit for Aurelia. So Glavine ahead in the count through the curveball, and Aurelia leads off the 6th with a base hit. There are the starting pitching numbers that Willie Randolph has had to deal with lately, and the Mets are still #1 in the National League in staff ERA, but if you're wondering why they're still in the market for a starting pitcher, that's why.
And only 2 games as a starter gone over 6 1/3 innings, and ironically it's the Mets' oldest starter, El Duque. He's done it twice.
But then he's also had 2 starts where he's failed to go 2 innings, so the consistency just isn't there, and with Pedro out of the rotation for the last couple of weeks, it certainly has thinned things out. El Duque will be on the mound tomorrow night at Shea against the Astros. Encarnacion has singled and walked, and he takes low, and it's 2-0.
There's Pedro looking much healthier.
Through a 60-pitch bullpen session last night. We'll probably throw a simulated game sometime soon, and the Mets hope that he'll be ready on the next road trip. And now it's 3-0 to Encarnacion. So Glavine, after struggling in the 5th inning, off to a rocky start here in the 6th.
Well, he might be getting that bullpen up here, not let this game get away.
And I think it's starting to stir out in that right field bullpen. 3-0 pitch. There's a strike. 3-1.
Turned out to be a decent crowd, Gary. A lot of late people came in late.
A lot of kids.
And still no activity out in that bullpen.
Bounced over the bag and just foul. Chuck Merriweather with the call. And no argument by Mark Berry, the third base coach.
Just foul. That was trouble written all over it. Yep, good call.
There's Chuck Merriweather right on top of the play. So 3-2 with nobody out. Aurelia, not a fast man at first. Encarnacion, young player at the plate. He's not going, and it's fouled back. You were paying attention because that one was headed toward you.
I had my hands ready for it.
See, it's getting a little later in the day. This is more your working hours.
Well, I'm normally looking at the monitor. I've almost been drilled a few times this year.
Rockets one to left. Floyd back. It's over his head, and it was touched by a fan. It's fan interference, and the runners will be placed at second and third. That was not going to be a home run, but a fan reached over the edge, and it was, I think it was a Met fan. Was it that guy who touched the ball, reaching in front of the yellow line?
Well, this is almost a home run here. It wouldn't have been. No, it's a red shirt.
It wasn't the Met fan. See, the Met fan backed off. It was the guy in the red shirt who touched it. That'll be an ejection. Can't touch that ball in play. That's the Jeffrey Mayer rule. But it clearly was fan interference. Chuck Merriweather called it immediately. So it's a double for Encarnacion and big trouble for Glavine, as Rick Peterson's going to jog out to the mound for a conversation.
And there's got to be some people getting up in that pen, and this is kind of the waste. There's got to be a sense of urgency out there. If they're get throwing, guys.
Well, Chad Bradford's loosening up his arm, but he hasn't started throwing yet. He'll do that momentarily.
You got your pitching coach out there yapping at the mound to waste some time. I'm a little bit very surprised that Rick Peterson did not force the umpire to come out and break up the tea party.
Well, Glavine starts. His beginnings have been good, but his middles have really suffered lately. The last 2 innings, he's faced 8 batters and given up 5 hits. So now in a 2-2 game, the Reds poised to take the lead. Mets will concede the go-ahead run with the infield back as Phillips steps in.
And I agree with playing back here. You concede the run here. You got 3 more innings. The Mets have 3 more times at bat. What you don't want right now is a ground ball to the right side of the infield. Or a base hit if it's going to be an out.
And there is the ground ball to the right side. Phillips does his job perfectly, but Valentin comes home, and out at the plate is Aurelia. Oh, there's a tremendous play by Valentin, playing back, but Aurelia didn't get a good jump off third, and Valentin throws him out.
Well, this is inexcusable for Aurelia to get thrown out at the plate. I'm sorry. The ball was not hit hard. He had to get a horrific jump. There is no way in heck on a ball hit that slowly you're going to get thrown out at the plate.
Brandon Phillips did exactly what he was supposed to do, but Aurelia just couldn't get the break.
Well, he didn't get a bad jump. He broke off the bat, it seemed like. He's just not running well. Let's see here. He didn't go back. Just heads up by Valentin. Let's not forget that.
That was a great play by Valentin. Now a dribbler by Clayton. The runner at third holds, and Glavine gets the out at first, and now they're 2 away. So Encarnacion didn't break on contact on that dribbler. He's pinned at third. Phillips moves up to second, and now Glavine with a chance to get through the inning.
Well, Tom fields his position tremendously.
What do you think? Should he have broke on contact?
Well, if they said he's going to hold, if it was contact, no, he shouldn't have broken contact. He'd been a dead duck. A dead duck.
So now there are 2 outs, runners at second and third. Jason LaRue, the batter, first base open. Arroyo is certainly not going to be taken out for a pinch hitter. And so the Mets will walk LaRue intentionally. And this is certainly the right move. LaRue's been swinging the bat well the last couple of days.
And let me just re-emphasize what a nice play Jose Valentin made here at second base. He knows how to play the game. That is just, when you're coming in to charge a soft roller, you don't have to have your eyes focused on the ball. You know you're going to have around 4 seconds before that ball gets to you, 5 seconds. You come in, you charge it, and you have your eye on the runner and see where he's at. And then you make up your mind before you pick up the ball again whether you've got a chance to throw him out at home or not. And that's what he did. And that's just good heads up. Now right now, there comes the ball. You're running in. Check the runner. now pick up the ball. He already knows that he's got a chance to throw him out, and he didn't hesitate. That is a fine play.
And an off-balance throw, but he threw perfectly to Castro because his momentum was not coming toward the plate. He was kind of sideways when he threw that ball, and yet he threw perfectly.
He had to throw it on the run here. He couldn't set up. That is just a very nice play.
So here's Arroyo with the bases loaded and 2 out. He bunts one. Glavine off the mat. He'll have the play at the plate, and the tag unnecessary but made anyway, and the 3rd out of the inning. Castro could have just stepped on home plate, but he wasn't on the plate, so he tagged Encarnacion, and the inning is over. So Glavine works out of a 2nd and 3rd nobody out jam as the Mets play good defense, and the score stays tied.
Matt Yaloff here with a Chevrolet Baseball Day in New York update. White Sox and Tigers. Jose Contreras gets Chris Shelton to ground out. Ends a threat. Still scoreless. Tigers and White Sox battling in the Central. Back to Gary and Keith in Cincinnati.
All right, Matt, the White Sox beginning the day 4.5 behind the Tigers. Meanwhile, Tom Glavine, thanks to his own and Jose Valentin's defense, able to work himself out of a miserable jam in the bottom of the 6th.
No, we're going to show this play again where Aurelia gets thrown out. Watch Aurelia here. Flat-footed, late jump. No momentum going forward towards home. You come down the line and your momentum comes forward, and you're ready to go in either direction. And he just was there like a Statue of Liberty, just flat-footed, and got a bad jump, and that is the difference. Now watch him here. He's got to be drifting more. Look at that one little hesitation, and that's the difference. And that's why he's out.
And Valentin taking full advantage where a less experienced player might have just assumed that he had no play and gone to first base.
I just think he got caught flat-footed, and that's just bad base running. Not everybody's a great base runner.
And Cliff Floyd's foul ball drills Jason LaRue. Staggers back to his feet.
There's a lot of veteran players out there in any decade. And that's the foul tip off the instep there. That are bad base runners. Not everybody's a great base runner.
Ball hit LaRue twice. Got him on the foot, then came up and chucked him under the chin. Tough guy, catcher. Even if he hates you.
That's part of the deal for them. Does he hate me too?
I told you, he's from Houston. You broke his heart. He was 12 years old in 1986. He hits a whole bunch of you.
I'm going to have to work on my personality.
Floyd with a home run and a hard hit single. And he takes inside 1-1. Cliff had a terrific series in Chicago. Struggled for a couple of days here, but has put together a good day today. And there's what he's done since the break.
That's 6 games. That's productive. 7 RBIs in 6 games. And the power numbers, too, coming back.
4 of those RBIs on one swing in Chicago, and that sidearm delivery. Arroyo gets the ground ball. So Floyd retired for the first time today as we check out the Toyota National League schedule. Houston and Chicago just about to get underway. The Astros still 3 games under 500. They'll play that game today and then come to Shea tomorrow night. Pittsburgh at Florida, LA at Arizona, and San Diego at San Francisco. The Padres 2.5 games in front in the National League West, and I was surprised to read that they released Vinny Castilla before the game yesterday.
He's hitting .222 for the season.
But a big favorite in that San Diego clubhouse, and they're in first place. And they released him to bring up a pitcher for one start. So you wonder about disrupting chemistry. Valentin pops it up. Friel in center field. 2 away. So 2 out and nobody on. Bronson Arroyo's retired 9 in a row. Maybe part of the celebration at Shea with Mets season tickets. Prorated packages includes postseason ticket purchase options and priority access for season tickets in the new Mets ballpark. To get your season tickets for the rest of 2006, call 718-507-TIXX or go to Mets.com today. Ramon Castro is grounded out and struck out. And he takes ball 1.
I tell you what, I like what I see from Arroyo here. It's just this club got him back in the game, and he is just taking it up a notch.
And that curveball flips in for a strike.
It's like, okay, I fell behind 2-0 on one mistake and one pretty good pitch. 2 solo home runs. My club gets me back in. Once he do, goes out in the 6th inning and strikes out the side, the heart of the Met order.
Foul back. Well, after Delgado hit the home run in the 4th, the Mets had a chance for more. Floyd and Valentin had base hits. And then Arroyo struck out Castro, and the Mets haven't had a base runner since. On 1-2, Castro lifts one foul. Aurelia hoping for a play and has one. Just enough room at the railing and at the edge of the tarp. 10 in a row retired by Arroyo. Still a 2-2 game. AB and Shea tomorrow at 7:10 p.m. when the Mets host the 2005 National League champion Houston Astros for the start of a weekend series. Then the Cubs come to Shea Monday for a 3-game set. Go to Mets.com now for your print-at-home tickets. They are starting them awfully young here in Cincinnati. This is one of those great regional baseball franchises. Fans come from far and wide, not only from the city of Cincinnati, but from all over the area. Lots of day camp groups here today for this early day game. Didn't start well for the Reds, but they were able to get even against Tom Glavine. Some Met fans in town as well, but you wouldn't have given much for Glavine's chances of being here in the 7th inning the way the 6th started. Ryan Friel leads off, and he gets this one started with a base hit. Floyd to the line, cuts it off, but Friel will easily have a leadoff double. So for the 3rd straight inning, the Reds get a leadoff hit against Glavine, and Ryan Friel, who had 3 3-hit games against the Mets at Shea, has another one today.
Well, nice hitting right here. He stays level, and he has been a thorn in the Mets side. He had a good series, as you said, back in New York. And this is an obvious bunt situation here with Denorfia up. And see if the Mets do a little wheel here and try to cut off the lead run.
Denorfia 0 for 3. Hit a couple of balls hard. Chad Bradford up in the bullpen. And Glavine comes inside 1-0.
The Mets play that bunt straight.
Have we seen a wheel from Willie? I'm not quite sure that we have.
It hasn't. It's been a while. That's for sure.
It's not something the Mets use a whole lot under Willie Randolph. And Denorfia gets the bunt down. Wright will field it. And Denorfia just out at first base. So the sacrifice successful. 5-4, moving Friel over to 3rd with 1 out.
Well, he does the right thing here. Forces the 3rd baseman to field the bunt and vacates 3rd base. The runner advances easily.
Glavine dominant early, struggling in the middle innings, and that's been kind of the theme for Tommy lately. Mets will bring the infield in an overshift. 3 infielders on the right side, all drawn in against Adam Dunn, who's hit 3 fly balls today. And what you hope for here, if you're the Mets, is the strikeout. Adam Dunn strikes out more than anybody in the league.
And your approach as a hitter here is the other way. And by the other way, I don't mean down the left field line. I mean center field over to the gap to left center field.
And Glavine behind 2-0.
You wait as long as you can. You're not looking to hit the ball out of a park here. You've got your ace on the hill in Arroyo. You're just looking to get the sacrifice fly here. If he throws a mistake and you rip it, fine.
2-0 to Dunn. And the fastball misses. And now what's going to end up happening here, you would think, is that Dunn's going to walk, and then they'll bring in Bradford to try and get the double play from Aurelia.
Absolutely. And look how this infield's in. There's 3 guys on the right side. That is hilarious.
They can almost hold hands
with
the way they're arrayed.
With the shift.
3-0 to Dunn. Did he swing? He did. Oh, Chuck Merriweather rings up a strike, and Dunn was halfway to first base.
And I don't think he swung.
Didn't look like it.
No, and it's just, we said it before, Gary. It's just these new umpires that get called up here. It's almost like they've been told to just ring them up automatic.
Three and one to Dunn. And that's ball 4. Glavine thought he had a strike. Not happy. Third walk given up by Glavine, and let's see if that's the end of the road for him. You got Bradford ready in the bullpen. You got a right-hand hitter coming up, double play situation. But Willie Randolph is staying right with Glavine.
And you saw Willie's reaction there. He's clapping his hands. He's staying with them.
Well, Willie's showing the utmost confidence in his ace left-hander. 97 pitches on the afternoon for Glavine. 2-2 game in the bottom of the 7th. Really a hot hitter. 1 for 3 today. Has a 13-game hitting streak. Made a base running mistake his last time on the bases. And Glavine trying to get another double play. You saw the graphic. No active pitcher has generated more. Friel, a fast man at third. Dunn without much speed at first.
Well, this is much the same situation in the first game of this series with Jerry Narin staying with Milton here. Willie Randolph staying with Glavine.
2-0 to Aurelia.
And I would have been a little more inclined to bring in Bradford and try to get a ground ball here in this situation. And Willie staying with Glavine, showing confidence in Tom.
Trying to push a starter through a 7th inning. That's been tough to do. 2-0 pitch, and he lays off the changeup. It's 3-0. A walk would load the bases and bring up Encarnacion, and then you'd figure they'd have to bring in Bradford.
Yes. And he's got a left-handed bench here of Hatteberg, Griffey, and Wise. So he can pinch hit.
Probably see Junior, you think. There's a strike, 3-1. Well, Glavine is still bound and determined to get Aurelia to hit a ground ball. Pitch count up over 100 on the afternoon for Glavine. It's not as hot as it could have been. Temperature around 90, and with the cloud cover, it's not as uncomfortable as it could have been. 3-1 to Aurelia, and now the bases are loaded. So Willie's stuck with Glavine for one more hitter, but he couldn't get Aurelia, and that's going to be it for Tom Glavine. So Willie was hoping that his ace could wind his way through this 7th inning, but it just didn't work out that way. And now it's going to be up to Chad Bradford to try and protect this tie. So Glavine is done. This will be his 5th straight start without a win. Unhappy with himself as he exits. Glavine done for the day, and Chad Bradford will come in with the bases loaded and 1 out to face Edwin Encarnacion.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Sterling Mats and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mats.
It's not that boring.
It's a tight part of the game, son.
It's a day game. What did he say after the night game last night, do you think? Kept that kid up all night around the rain delay, and now he's going to take a nap. Well, Chad Bradford coming on to try and save the day.
And he always seems the man that has to come in the tight spots, and he has been terrific in this situation. As you look at his inherited runners that he has left stranded, that is terrific. And he got the bases loaded.
And Scott Hatteberg will bat for Edwin Encarnacion. Now, Hatteberg and Bradford were teammates for 3 years in Oakland, and so Hatteberg has never faced Bradford before. Hatteberg's been hot with the bat. He's hitting at .317. Bases loaded, 1 out, tie game, 7th inning. And Hatteberg takes a strike.
Well, you might wonder why, with Ken Griffey on the bench, that Jerry Narron is pinch hitting Hatteberg. I think it's the right move. Griffey's more of a pull hitter, inclined to pull the sinker away into a double play. Doesn't run like he used to. Hatteberg is more of a line drive hitter, goes to all fields.
And a very patient hitter. And the breaking ball swung and missed. And he was badly fooled by the slider. 0-2.
So he got fooled here in a backdoor slider. Now, no matter what happens, Jerry Narron has made the right move. It's the players that have to execute.
Well, one thing about Hatteberg, it's very hard to strike him out. 42 walks, 18 strikeouts this year.
0 for 3 as a pinch hitter this year.
And the breaking ball just misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, there's no margin for error, and this is one of the beauties of the game. Is you got Bradford in this ball game in a situation where he can't make a mistake, and he's just so fine with his pitches. His first 4 pitches right now, 3 pitches. It's the beauty of the game.
1-2 to Hatteberg with the bases full. And he misses inside with the fastball. 2-2.
Oh, nice try. That just missed. Inside fastball.
Look at that. 298 with 2 strikes. That's outstanding.
Nice try, Chad.
On 2-2, Hatteberg swings and misses at the slider, and Bradford strikes out a very tough man to fan. That's the second out.
Well, he's 1 out away from doing it again, and he got fooled on the off speed.
There's a big strikeout for Chad Bradford. Tom Glavine looking on in admiration and hoping that he can do the same to Brandon Phillips.
Well, let's see if he pounds Phillips in. Now, Phillips is one of those guys I said earlier, like Clayton, who goes the other way. Let's see if they're going to pound him in. We'll see where Castro sets up.
Bases loaded, 2 down, and the slider misses. 1-0. Phillips 1 for 3 in his career against Bradford. 1 for 3 today.
Boy, it just looked like Hatteberg just wasn't picking up the unusual point of release from the Submariner.
The Reds left him loaded in the 6th inning, and Bradford trying to strand 3 here in the 7th.
Castro's going to have to go out there and see what the story is here. As Chad stepped off twice, his little communication lapse here. We'll get it all straightened out.
Got that runner at second base. So a more complicated set of signs. Friel at third, Dunn at second, O'Reilly at first. Friel led off the inning with a double. Denorfia sacrificed him up, and then Glavine walked the next 2. Bradford came on to strike out Hatteberg, and now trying to deal with Brandon Phillips. And he misses to fall behind 2-0.
I would be a little bit inclined on this defensive alignment on the infield on the right side. I would move Valentine over a little bit more. Get him over here. Take that. He's gone that way. Take that hole away.
Glavine tried to negate that by working in on his hands. Grounded to third. Wright's got it, and he'll take it to the bag for the force, and Bradford does it again. Strands 3 for Glavine and keeps the game tied. The Reds leave him loaded for the 2nd straight inning. Great job by Bradford. Mets games are available in high definition quality across various cable providers, including Time Warner Cable and IO Digital Cable Service by Cablevision. Get the Mets in HD. Scott Hatteberg, who pinch hit, stays in the game at first base. Rich Aurelia moves from first over to third. And Julio Franco will bat for Chad Bradford, who did a marvelous job in stranding 3 Reds in the bottom of the 7th. So we check out the Hyundai in-game box score. Mets got their 2 runs on 2 swings of left-handed bats. Home run by Floyd in the 2nd, home run by Delgado in the 4th. Bronson Arroyo still cooking for the Reds. He's retired the last 10 in a row. Franco hitting at .272, struck out as a pinch hitter last night. Aaron Heilman, who worked 2 innings in last night's game, ready to go right back at it today.
Arroyo with 86 pitches. 96, excuse me. Make that 98. I'll get it right yet.
You were close.
Don't pay attention to me.
Oh, we always pay attention to you. Because we're always interested in what you have to say.
What, 3 sheets to the wind?
That's one man's opinion. Well, this next one will be the 100th pitch for Bronson Arroyo. And he's been topping 100 virtually every time out. 1-2 to Franco. 2-2. You know, last year was the first year in his career that Arroyo had thrown over 200 innings. With the Red Sox, he threw 205, and he's on pace for more than that this year. Sidearm delivery, and he gets it. Arroyo dropping down against the right-hand batter. It has his 7th strikeout.
Well, one of the things that Willie Randolph did with Arroyo, who's very tough on right-hand hitters, was to empty his left-handed bench. Of his 8 starters, 6 of them are switch hitters or left-hand hitters. There's no one on the bench that is a left-hand hitter, and that's a game the way it's evolved now. It really hurts when Arroyo's out there not to have a lefty. Now, I'm not second-guessing that. I would definitely load up a lineup with left-hand hitters against Arroyo.
Well, the other thing about it is that the Reds now have a left-handed closer. So you have those right-hand hitters available if Guardado gets in the game. Reyes has hit 3 fly balls to right field off Arroyo today. There's Ken Merker, another left-hander up in the Cincinnati pen. And Reyes lifts one to right center. DeNorfia moving over. He's had a busy day, especially when Reyes is batted. 4 at-bats, 4 fly balls to the right fielder. 9-9-9-9.
And what happens when Jose Reyes does not get on base? Mets don't score a lot of runs. They're getting out hit today. The Reds have 9 hits, and New York has 5. Of course, the 2 runs New York has scored on solo home runs back in the 2nd by Floyd and the 4th by Delgado.
Well, Arroyo has lived by the fly ball. He's gotten only 2 ground ball outs today. Here's Chavez, who's had 3 fly ball outs, and he hits one off the end of the bat, a cue shot. 0-1. Did he chip that cup at the end of the bat? Got it right off the end.
No, you're not supposed to hit him there anyway. Every once in a while.
So it doesn't matter if they're chipped.
You get a new one. If it's chipped, you get a new one. There's the 5 hits right there for the Mets.
And none since the 4th inning. Arroyo's retired 12 in a row. 2-2 in the 8th. And Chavez fouls it back 0-2.
I like Arroyo. I like the way he pitches. He's not afraid to throw his fastball. I thought he was more of a dipsy-do type pitcher. But he's not afraid to throw number 1.
Of course, number 2 is pretty good. Fastball off the fists, and Aurelia can't get it. Well, Aurelia was a little slow in the base paths. That time a little slow at third base reacting to that ball. And it's a 2-out single by Chavez. After Arroyo had retired 12 in a row.
Well, this is a severe jam shot. Up and in. Inside out. Hey, stay level. You got a chance. And Phil Mickelson couldn't have had a better wedge with that one.
Nice lefty reference. Very nice. Good job. Got the British Open underway. You got the left-hand hitter, and you were right there with Phil Mickelson. Obviously, you're getting more bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as this day goes along.
I'm learning every day from you, Gary.
Beltran takes ball 1. That's not an example you want to follow. Beltran is 0 for 3. Struck out his last time up. And Arroyo flips in that breaking ball 1-1.
It drops down Laredo. I don't mind him throwing a backdoor slider sidearm. Don't want to get it over the middle.
Beltran with 27 home runs, 78 RBIs, top 5 in the league in both categories. Mets could use one right here. And the breaking ball in for a strike. 1-2.
Carlos didn't think that was a strike. He thought it was up, curved around the plate. And he may have a point. That's borderline. Oh.
Arroyo does throw a lot of strikes with his curve, though. Now he's ahead 1-2 on Beltran. Fastball struck him out. Up and in. 8 strikeouts for Arroyo. And he's pitched a very impressive 8 innings this afternoon. 2-2 as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Well, the Reds tied up this game in the 5th, and the Mets have been on the verge of falling behind the last 2 innings, but they have played great defense.
Well, they certainly have, and this was a great play by Jose Valentin. And I don't like to use the word great. That was fine. This is Glavine fielding his position, and then Glavine fielding his position again with 2 outs.
Castro not on the plate, but make the play anyway.
The bases were loaded.
And then the base is loaded in the 7th. Bradford strikes out Hatteberg, gets the ground ball, and strands 3 more. And Aaron Heilman, who pitched 2 innings last night, 2 hitless innings, comes right back. Comes into a tie game in the bottom of the 8th. And Royce Clayton takes ball 1. Clayton 1 for 3. Singled and scored in the 5th. Reds have had leadoff hits each of the last 3 innings.
Oh, boy, that got away.
Just a bit outside.
Oh, no one on base. I won't even offer. Let it go. Ole, Mr. Castro. It's 8th inning. I'm tired.
Just another souvenir. Clayton takes a strike. Royce Clayton has now had 322 at bats this year and has not hit a home run. He's had more at bats than anybody in the majors this year who hasn't hit a home run. So he thinks about a bunt. And it's 3-1.
Well, if he walks Clayton, will Jerry Narron think about a bunt with Jason LaRue?
Well, certainly he'd be pinch hitting for Arroyo. You think he's done after 111 pitches. They've got Eddie Guardado up in the bullpen.
Griffey and Dwayne Wise on the bench from the left side.
And there's a strike. Good fastball. 3-2. Very important for Heilman to dispose of the leadoff hitter here in the bottom of the 8th. Clayton lifts one. Tough play. Reyes out. Floyd in. Base hit. A little parachute off the bat of Royce Clayton. And for the 4th straight inning, the Reds get a leadoff hit.
Well, this one couldn't have been placed more perfect if you put it out there with your hand.
Get a keepsake photo of Pedro Martinez. Free in New York area copies of this Sunday's New York Times. Pick up the Times at a store or newsstand near you and find more Mets photos in the Sunday Times now through the end of August. So see if they're bunting with LaRue. Dwayne Wise has come out on deck to pinch hit for Arroyo. And Glavine checks in on Clayton, who has 10 stolen bases this year. LaRue all of a sudden perking up at the plate. Has hit the ball hard twice today. Heilman with a long set, and LaRue misses the bunt.
And that is an improper way to bunt. And we'll show you. Watch the bat. Look at him stab at it. Oh, no, you got to let the ball come to the bat. That's stabbing at it. And that's not going to work. Now, I'm sure LaRue hasn't bunted too many times in his life. His career.
Has to do it again, and he fouls this one off, and now it's 0-2. And LaRue rather unhappy with himself.
Yep, he just brought the. That was an easy one to bunt, too, one up in the strike zone, but it's not as easily said as done as said. Excuse me, as I take a deep breath.
Oh, will Jerry Narron keep the bunt on? LaRue has one sacrifice this year. Remember, he had the big hit for the Reds last night off Juaner Sanchez.
I think he's going to go to hitting now, particularly after those 2 attempts.
The bunt is on, and he bunts it, and Wright will field it, and the sacrifice successful, and almost more than that, but Valentine elevating. 3rd sacrifice of the game for the Reds, and the lead run at second with 1 out.
Well, I stand corrected. I've never seen so many regular players in the lineup that start the game still bunt with 2 strikes. Almost threw that ball away is Wright. Mr. Wright.
Well, Dwayne Wise had come out on deck to pinch hit, but now Narron's going to switch up and send up Javier Valentine instead to bat for Arroyo. So Jose's younger brother, Javier Valentine, who had an RBI single as a pinch hitter last night, will come up to bat here.
Well, he's been their big pinch hitter this year with 29 at bats, 8 hits, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs. So he's used to this role.
For most of the year, the Reds have been carrying 3 catchers, but David Ross is on the disabled list right now, which makes you a little more reluctant to use your backup catcher as a pinch hitter. So Clayton at second and 1 out. Tie game, 8th inning. Ball 1 to Valentine.
One thing about Valentine, he likes that fastball.
Swift hitting catcher, about 6 years younger than Jose Valentine. A stockier build, wouldn't you say? Good changeup by Heilman, 1-1.
Slightly stockier, you think? I bet you he has a much larger appetite than his older brother.
And less of a mustache. One and 1 to Javier Valentine. Goes right back to the changeup and misses 2-1. Ryan Friel, who already has 3 hits today, waiting on deck. Does that against the Mets in his sleep. On 2-1, Valentine fouls back the fastball. 2-2.
Well, good cut on that fastball away. I have a hunch he's not going to see that fastball again. Good spot, good location. He's a middle-in hitter. Jerry Narron.
Clayton still runs well at age 36. Just got a piece of it. Trying to hold the fort here in the bottom of the 8th. Reds have stranded 10 runners today. Valentine trying to pick up Clayton from second. 3-2.
Well, he's got an open base. And a good pinch hitter here and a left-hand hitter in Valentine. I have a hunch he's going to make him hit his pitch. Not go after him with a fastball here. You got the 2 young players coming up behind, both right-hand hitters, and Friel and Denorfia.
Three and 2 to Valentine. Toward the hole. Wright cuts it off and holds the runner 2 out.
Well, he got him on the changeup. In a good spot, sinking, and here has been the Met killer here. This guy has just been In the 5-6 games that these two teams have played against each other, he's just played outstanding.
Well, he had 3 3-hit games against the Mets in a 4-game series in New York. Didn't start the opener of this series. He was out with a shoulder problem. Got 1 hit last night and then 3 more today. There's Eddie Guardado, the new Cincinnati closer. Looks like he'll pitch the 9th, regardless of whether they get the lead. And Friel grounds one toward the hole. Wright cuts it off, bobbles, but he still gets him at first base side, retired. Almost a key bobble by Wright, but he was able to recover and throw out Friel. And Howman puts up a 0 after a leadoff hit. We go to the 9th.
This Baseball Day in New York update brought to you by Chevrolet, Rangers and Red Sox. Fenway Park, Kurt Schilling delivering, Rod Barajas delivering a bloop single. 2 runs in. Rangers lead the Red Sox 3-2 in the 3rd. Gary?
All right, Matt. Red Sox a 1.5 up on the Yankees starting plate today. Is that the same kid? Could they wake him up already? It's a 2-2 game.
I understand.
Eddie Guardado on to pitch the 9th inning. Saved the game last night for the Reds. Those are his Cincinnati numbers. His Seattle numbers were far uglier as Billy Wagner gets up in the Mets bullpen. Carlos Delgado, David Wright, Cliff Floyd up for the Mets in the top of the 9th. Delgado broke a home run drought with his 23rd of the year in the 4th inning. At the time, it gave the Mets a 2-0 lead. 35-year-old Eddie Guardado getting a new lease on life here in Cincinnati. Spent 3.5 years in Seattle after establishing himself in Minnesota. And the breaking ball high. Center field. Delgado got under it, and Friel gets under it. 1 away.
So Carlos got a pitch to hit, because watch his reaction. Oh, he missed it.
And we've seen that a couple of times in this series.
And he is always so composed, so mild-mannered, so measured. And to see him, I kind of like that, you know. He's upset. That was a pitch to hit. Good cut, though.
Here's Wright, who's 0 for 3 on the day, and he takes a strike. You see Guardado wearing number 81. For years in Minnesota and Seattle, he wore number 18. When he came here to Cincinnati, though, he couldn't get 18 because that was Ted Kluszewski's number, and it's retired. And so they gave him 45. He wore that for about a week, and he said, 45's not me. So instead he took 81, doing the old Carlton Fisk transpose the numbers thing. 2-1 to Wright.
Doesn't look like a split end, does he?
81 is not a baseball number. I don't care what position you are. Two and 2 to Wright. David with 21 home runs, 79 RBIs. He's been held in check in this series, though, just 1 for 8 in the 3 games. That 1 hit, a 2 RBI single last night. On 2 and 2, David rifles one into left field for a base hit. Dunn chasing it toward the line. Wright's going to try for 2. Dunn's throw cut off by Clayton. Relay not in time. 2-base hit for David Wright. And the Mets have the lead run in scoring position with 1 out. So Wright, who has pummeled lefties all year, does it to Guardado.
Yes, he has. And it's a slider. It didn't get in enough. This ball is ripped, and David hustling. And you see that Dunn does not have a strong. He's throwing off balance.
You know, the irony there is that Aurelia was guarding the line. Wright hit it back to his left, and yet he still got a double.
I think that Dunn would have been better off planting and getting a stronger throw in. I don't think he had a shot.
So here's Floyd, and he loops one foul. Cliff homered back in the second inning, his 10th of the year. Singled up the middle in the 4th. He's 2 for 3.
Well, this kind of works out nice for Narin, bringing in the left-hander. And Delgado and Floyd lefties. You got now Valentine in the on-deck circle, who's batting from his right side, which is his weaker side.
And Floyd takes the breaking ball low, 1-1. Guardado is not a guy who's going to overpower you at all. Just a real tough competitor who challenges hitters without great stuff. On 1-1, Floyd fouls it back.
And Cliff's got just a huge hole right in here. And he's got 2 strikes on him now. Shorten up a little bit. They give you that kind of hole. My goodness, get a fastball away or a breaking ball. Ground ball through there, and no one's going to get it.
There's Gary Majeski up in the Cincinnati bullpen, one of the recent acquisitions from Washington. Jerry Narin going to his closer. Tie game in the 9th at home. That's standard operating procedure. Once you get to the 9th inning in a tie game at home, you can't have a save opportunity. 1-2 pitch, and he misses inside with a changeup. 2-2. Jose Valentine waiting on deck. Valentine hit a home run as a right-hand batter against Eric Milton 2 nights ago. His first of the year from the right side. Floyd trying to pick up right from second. Guardado strikes him out with a breaking ball. 2 away.
Well, it's a slider. Oh, it had lots of plate too, and Cliff just, I think, was fooled by the off speed.
So 2 out, and here's Valentine, who has seen plenty of Guardado. 2 for 11 against him in his career. Let's say 1 for 3 today. Right at second and 2 down. Back toward the middle, but Clayton is there, and he throws out Valentine, side retired. So a double and 1 left. We go to the bottom of the 9th in Cincinnati, tied at 2. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Jeep, the all-new 7-passenger Jeep Commander. It's your world. Take command. And by the New York State Smokers Quit line. Call 1-866-NY-QUITS for free help and advice. Start your smoke-free life today. What, no Coney? Covered with cheese?
No Chris.
Didn't Cotter tell them? Oh, there you go. You got to have that cheese. It's part of the Cincinnati experience. Pedro Feliciano takes over as we go to the bottom of the 9th. Billy Wagner was up, but only for a save chance. But with the Mets not scoring at the top of the 9th, it's Feliciano. Facing Chris Denorfia leading off. Ball 1.
A little more sun popped out a little bit here now, kind of brightened things up in this ballpark.
Denorfia 0 for 3 and a sacrifice. And behind 2-0 is Feliciano. Feliciano pitched on Tuesday night, had a rough go of it, faced 4 batters and gave up 2 hits. And there's a strike, 2-1. Tom Glavine went 6 1/3, allowed 2 runs and 9 hits. Chad Bradford bailed him out in the 7th, getting 2 big outs. Aaron Howman worked around a leadoff hit in the 8th for a scoreless inning, and now Feliciano trying to hold the fort. He got Adam Dunn standing on deck. And then Rich Aurelia. 2-2 last of the 9th. And Denorfia takes inside, ball 3. Now, the last thing in the world you want to do is walk Chris Denorfia ever, but especially leading off in the bottom of the 9th with the 3 and 4 hitters coming up.
And you never want to walk anybody, any leadoff hitter in any inning. They always tend to find a way to score.
on 3-1. Ball 4. That's a perfectly dreadful way for Pedro Feliciano to start the last of the night. Always really stewing. So now all he has to do is face Adam Dunn and his 30 home runs with a runner at first base.
And Adam Dunn, of course, the 246 average. He's a 300 hitter against lefties.
Well, he's an 800 hitter against Feliciano. 4 for 5. I don't think he's bunting either. Although Jerry Narron has been quick with the sacrifice today, I don't think he's going to do it here.
It's like Mighty Casey at the bat.
Dunn is 0 for 3 and a walk. And the curveball in for a strike. Nothing in 1.
Or that Dodger fight song, remember, with Danny Kaye? The Dodger fight song?
No, I don't.
They win the game with Big Frank bunts. That's how the song goes. Frank Howard bunts with the bases loaded and wins the game.
I'm not familiar. Could you sing it?
I could.
Go ahead.
Actually, I can get you the recording.
I'd rather hear you sing.
It's one of the classic Dodger fight songs. Back in the early 60s, Danny Kaye. And on the flip side of the 45, he did Mighty Casey at the bat, which was awesome.
I can't wait to hear it. 1-1 to Dunn. And there's a strike. Good breaking ball by Feliciano. 1-2. Well, after the walk to Denorfia, Castro went out and gave Feliciano a pretty good talking to, and he's bounced back to get ahead on Dunn. 1-2. 2-2 last of the ninth. Let's have the complete overshift on against Dunn. Now it's 2-2. You see right just to the left of second base. About 75 feet between right and the third base line. 2-2. Dunn swings and misses at the breaking ball. Strike 3. Big strikeout for Feliciano. 1 down.
Well, he made his pitches here. He takes something off of this breaking ball. Gets Dunn out in front and right knee-high outside corner.
So 1 out and 1 on. And here's Aurelia, who had a double against Feliciano on Tuesday night. He's been hot. 13-game hitting streak with his 1 for 3 today.
And you got to be careful of a hit and run here. Aurelia goes the other way naturally. He's a good hit and run guy.
Feliciano hoping to get a ground ball for a double play. Denorfia, pretty fast man at first. A curveball in for a strike. Aurelia began the game at first base, now playing third. And he's been playing just about every day lately. And foul, and it's 0-2. Really another one of those short-priced pickups by the Reds GM Wayne Krivsky. And he has done very well. Scott Hatteberg, another one of those low-priced acquisitions waiting on deck. Now Feliciano ahead on Aurelia. 0-2. Denorfia has yet to attempt a stolen base. He stole 14 in AAA this year before being called up recently. Long set by Feliciano. Aurelia never asks for time. And the pitch misses 1-2. Hopefully a guy holds the ball that long. He's going to get tired of waiting.
You would think. He didn't think along our lines, though, did he?
Maybe he doesn't get his antsy as some others. Really is a tough New York kid who Grew up on the streets of Brooklyn, went to Xaverian High School and on to St. John's. Now makes his home out in Arizona.
He's had a nice career. Let me tell you, he had some great years and very good years in San Francisco.
Home run hitting years. Breaking ball, bounced foul. Came up and hit him.
You said it. He's one of those hard-nosed players that really got the most out of his abilities. Worked hard. Someone you wouldn't mind in the foxhole with you.
Oh, really is 34 years old. He should have some years left. This is now his 11th full major league season. One on and one out. Tie game last of the ninth.
Now he steps out.
Can only wait so long. Feliciano really slowing down the pace. And he and Castro having some trouble getting together. One-two pitch. Chopped along the third baseline and, well, fortunately for the Mets, rolled foul. Slowly hit ground ball. The ball stays fair. It's probably an infield hit. Aurelia was involved in a key play in this game back in the 6th inning. He was a runner at third. Reds at second and third. Nobody out. The Mets had the infield back. But on a slow ground ball, Valentine was nonetheless able to throw Aurelia out at the plate. And the Reds wound up leaving the bases loaded in the 6th. They left them loaded in the 7th. In fact, they've already stranded 11 runners over the first 8 innings. 2-2 last of the ninth. Tries to come inside with the fastball and misses 2-2.
It's a tough at bat here for Aurelia, really making Feliciano work here. He does not want to take it to a 3-2 count. Denorfia running.
This will be the 7th pitch of the at bat. And Feliciano stepping off. Just trying to remind Denorfia that he's aware. Two to Aurelia. The runner goes. Pitch outside. Castro's throw. Castro. Valentine somehow tagged out Denorfia for the second out.
Well, this is a fine play. The in-between hop. Let's see if he got him. Boy, I don't know about that. It's a close play. I get a better, closer look here. He's blocking the bag with his foot. Oh, I thought he got in there.
Well, whether he got him or not, that's the second tremendous play that Valentine has made in this game. So now 2 out and nobody on. 3-2 to Aurelia. Breaking ball bounced foul.
Well, here it is again. The tough play. It's an in-between hop for Valentine also here, and he makes the play. Other side of the bag. He's in. He's safe.
Very close. Brian Honora right on top of it. This will be the 9th pitch of the at bat. And Aurelia slams one deep down the right field line. Slicing foul. Aurelia came that close to a potential game-winning home run. It's only 325 down the line.
He gets that left. That's a home run is right.
See how that fence goes up just a little bit in the corner. It's 8 feet high in front of the bullpen, but then that little piece under the foul pole, you have to hit it 12 feet high. Just one little quirk. Had that ball been fair, might or might not have been high enough to get over that wall. Well, Feliciano's thrown 9 pitches to Aurelia, and he's still going. 2 out and nobody on. Popped up. Castro coming back, but it'll be out of play.
This is a fantastic at bat for Aurelia here. He is really fighting it off.
And the fan fails to catch the ball in his cap.
Well, it's a high sky today.
But he was right under it. Well, Willie watched Feliciano walk the leadoff hitter, but everything's gone right since. He struck out Adam Dunn. Valentine made the tremendous tag on the stolen base attempt by Denorfia. And now Feliciano and Aurelia is still battling. Aurelia homered in the game last night. 3-2 on the way, and he walked him. So on the 11th pitch of the at-bat, Feliciano loses Aurelia. And now a 2-out base runner for Scott Hatteberg.
Well, you wonder, you look back on the stolen base attempt by Denorfia on a 2-2 count. Now, he's a youngster, just been called up. I think he might have been a little bit wiser to wait to a potential 3-2 count. He was safe on the stolen base, but that's moot. Called out by Jerry Crawford. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Brian Honora, right?
Hatteberg came up as a pinch hitter in the 7th. And Chad Bradford, with the bases loaded and 1 out, struck him out, which is a very tough thing to do. Hatteberg, one of the hardest hitters in the league to strike out. Now lefty against lefty here in the 9th. And that one caught Castro. 0-2 to Hatteberg, but Castro a little shaken.
Forearm. Oh no. Cannot. Oh. Rib.
Yep, right there. Right there. So while Castro tries to feel better, Delgado went into the mound to steal a moment with Feliciano. So now Pedro ahead in the count, 0-2. Trying to send this game along into the 10th inning. Reds have sidestepped one Cincinnati threat after another. Reds have had the leadoff man on 5 innings in a row. And the breaking ball misses. They scored 2 in the 5th to tie the game. Aurelia led off the 6th with a single. Friel led off the 7th with a double. Clayton led off the 8th with a single, and Denorfia led off the 9th with a walk. But the Mets squirmed out of it in the 6th, 7th, and 8th. Feliciano trying to do the same in the 9th. 1-2 pitch. And now it's 2-2 to Hatteberg.
The Reds have left 11 men on base in this game. That's a lot of men to be left on base. Anytime you get in double digits, that's too many.
Brandon Phillips on deck. Well, the Reds have had 10 hits. They've drawn 6 walks, and they've scored just 2 runs. 2-2 to Hatteberg. Breaking ball struck him out. Feliciano fans 2, works around a couple of 9th inning walks, and we go to extra innings at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Hatteberg strikes out for the 2nd time. Geico Sports Night, the news and information source for all New York area sports fans. Geico Sports Night covers the stories that New York sports fans care about. 6 p.m., 10 p.m., and 1 a.m. every night, only on Sportsnet New York. Check out the AOL game summary. Delgado and Floyd with the solo home runs gave the Mets the lead, but they haven't scored since. Ryan Friel with another big day against the Mets, and Bronson Arroyo, after giving up the 2 home runs, was terrific for his 8 innings. Want a better high-speed internet? You belong at AOL. Gary Majeski takes over the pitching for the Reds as we go to the 10th inning. This is the Mets' 12th extra inning game of the year, but their first in a long time. They haven't played an extra inning game since the 4th of June when they played a 12-inning affair with the Giants. Mets are 6-5 in extra innings this year. Ramon Castro will lead off in the 10th inning. The Reds are 3-4 in extra inning games.
And those numbers you saw on Majeski were for the season. He started out obviously in Washington. He's had 2 appearances for Cincinnati so far. In an inning and a third, he's given up 5 hits, 3 runs. LaDuca in the on-deck circle. So he struggled here in his first 2 appearances as a Red.
Big hop for Phillips on the backhand. Plenty of time with Castro running one away. So 1 out and nobody on. And now LaDuca going back into the dugout. He had come out on deck to bat for Feliciano. And let's see who's coming out. Billy Wagner getting up in the bullpen, hoping the Mets can get him a game to save. And it's Xavier Nady around the bat rack. So I guess with a runner on, they would have used LaDuca, but with nobody on, Nady.
LaDuca potential hit and run threat. Now Willie opting for more power. Make a mistake to Nady, he can hurt you with a long ball.
So Nady didn't start today against the tough right-hander in Arroyo. 2 for 6 in this series. Had a home run against Eric Milton on Tuesday night. Nady's been playing every day, so he hasn't had too many pinch hitting opportunities. Ken Merker up in the bullpen for the Reds. Nady's had just 3 pinch hit at bats, 1 for 3. Well, last night the Mets scored 4 runs in the first 2 innings, then had just 2 hits in 7 innings against the Reds bullpen. Today the Mets got a couple of runs on solo home runs early and haven't hit much since. Over the last 5 1/3 innings, the Mets have had just 2 hits. Nady with 13 home runs on the year. Majeski ahead of him 0-2.
Well, this is why the Reds made those moves. As you look at Jose Reyes, they made the moves they felt they weren't going to win with that bullpen.
Majeski had a terrific year for Washington last year, pitching in 79 games to a 2.93 ERA. And he'd been pretty good this year, although not quite as spectacular before the trade. He's established himself as a quality setup man. And Nady lifts one to shallow right. DeNorfia in, Phillips out, and DeNorfia can't get it. Rolls away. Nady to second. Might have thought about trying for third, but Phillips recovers. And Nady has himself a 2-base hit. Now DeNorfia's had a busy day in right field, and I'm not sure what happened to him there.
Well, if he calls off the second baseman, which he did, he's got to make sure he can catch it, and he had no chance. Phillips had the pop-up. He's got it, and he doesn't have it. So Phillips had it easy. He pulled up. And Nady, let's see, hustling out of the box, hustling enough to get to second base. No, he kind of pulled up and then downshifted, didn't he?
Well, DeNorfia's had a rough last inning. Attempted his first big league stolen base, got thrown out, now fails to catch the fly ball that falls for a double for Nady, and the Mets will try and take advantage with Reyes, who's hit 4 fly balls to DeNorfia today. He's caught all 4 of those.
Well, those are youthful mistakes.
But you go back to the trade that the Reds made to pick up Majeski and Bill Bray, and what they did in that trade is send away their starting right fielder Austin Kearns, and DeNorfia is replacing him. So that's what you live with in exchange for a revamped bullpen. 1-1 to Reyes. And it all goes back to that question: do you trade an everyday player for relief pitching?
They're in at the corners on the infield. Reyes, potential drag bunt threat, obviously.
On 1-1, Reyes takes a strike. 2.
I wonder what he was looking for. A fastball right in his wheelhouse.
Reyes just 2 for 9 against Majeski, whom the Mets saw quite a bit of last year pitching for Washington. Tie game, 10th inning. Reyes trying to pick up Nady from second. Takes a call, third strike. Reyes protesting, but he took strike 2 and he takes strike 3. Fastballs both, 2 out.
I think it's a strike. Let's watch the glove. Yes, he brought it up, but it's knee high.
Too close to take anyway.
Yes, sir.
So 2 out.
And Chavez in that clutch roll. We had that graphic before. We showed you what he hits in the clutch. And he has been just fantastic this season in his situations.
333 with runners in scoring position this year. Nady at second and 2 down. And Chavez hits one over the bag, base hit, and the Mets will take the lead. Chavez heads for second. An RBI double for Endy Chavez. And the Mets go in front 3-2 in the top of the 10th.
Well, there he goes again, coming through in the clutch. And this bench for the Mets has been solid, and he stays so level. He's such a natural opposite field hitter that you just have to crowd him. You pitch him away, and Nady, that ball down the line, can walk home. You and I might be able to score on that one, Gare.
So a gift double for Nady, and Chavez comes through, drives him in with a 2-base hit of his own. That'll be all for Majeski. They'll bring in the left-hander Merker to turn Beltran around, but the Mets have grabbed the lead here in the 10th. Well, you don't judge a trade from one day, but it's been the worst of all possible worlds for the Reds here in the 10th inning. Majeski, whom they traded for, gives up the run because the guy replacing the guy they traded away couldn't catch a fly ball.
Well, he made the error of, and you look at Kent Merker coming in the pitch, and also, like as you said, turn Beltran around.
Beltran 0 for 4 today, and he hits one foul.
Just a youthful error, an aggressive error that young players make. He's going to call off the second baseman, which he called off Brandon Phillips. He better call him off, and because he can catch the ball, not dive for it like that. Because Brandon Phillips was right there to make the play.
Could have caught it without leaving his feet. 1-1 to Beltran. Merker pitched a 1-2-3 inning last night, but he needed some acrobatics from Aurelia on a ball hit by Beltran. Aurelia made a sparkling play. But today it's the Mets defense that has carried the day. Mets have made a half a dozen terrific defensive plays that kept this game tied, and now they've grabbed the lead in the 10th.
And it's something they've been doing all year. So it's not all about home runs. There's a lot of finesse to this game.
2-1 to Beltran. Popped it up foul. Might be playable. Hatterberg over near the dugout. No. Couldn't quite reach it.
Well, he gets right over to the rail there, the railing. Just needed another couple inches.
Well, the plan this year was to have Adam Dunn play first base. Hatterberg was supposed to be a bench player. If Dunn were playing first, it's tall enough he might have reached it. Oops. 2-2 to Beltran. Line drive, base hit to the corner. Chavez will score easily. The third double of the inning. Beltran drives home Chavez. 4-2 New York. Beltran's 79th run batted in.
Well, that's a huge run to drive in right there. That extra cushion. Slider down and in. Carlos lets go with one hand, stays his front shoulder in, and he's been clutching out in this road trip, Carlos. Very, very big clutch hits.
Well, Chavez had the go-ahead hit. Beltran adds an insurance run. 79 RBIs for Beltran, ties him with Wright for the club lead. And now here's Delgado, who homered earlier in the game, his 23rd, 1 for 4 on the day. And he takes a strike from Merker. So the Mets have gotten a lead for Billy Wagner to try and protect. These runs belong to Pedro Feliciano, who was laborious but worked his way through the bottom of the ninth.
Laborious.
Well, he faced 4 batters and threw 26 pitches.
It's the appropriate word. I love it. It's the appropriate word.
I mean, that half inning with 4 batters took about a half an hour. But he got through it. And that's been pretty much the signal of the day for the Mets. They've gotten through it. Glavine and Bradford and Feliciano. There goes Beltran stealing third, but Delgado fouls it off. Beltran not aware yet. I guess it was a foul ball. Now he'll go back.
There's already 2 outs. I just don't agree with that. I just let Carlos Delgado swing the bat with Delgado. Jeez, Keith. With Beltran's speed, he's going to score in a single.
Well, he does that all the time. Did it in the All-Star game. Stole third with 2 out and then scored on a wild pitch. He was going to be named the MVP because of stealing third with 2 out. Until Michael Young messed it up.
The Mets are 6-5 in extra inning games this year.
Played a lot of extra inning games early in the season when they were playing 1-run games every day. Right into the shift, and Brandon Phillips tosses out Delgado. Inning over, but Denorfia's failure to catch the fly ball by Nady opens the door for a 2-run inning, and Wagner will try and save it for the Mets. Well, the Mets trying to capture the rubber game here in Cincinnati, and Billy Wagner on to try and save it in the bottom of the 10th inning.
Well, Wagner trying to get his 19th save here. Feliciano is the pitcher of record, hoping to boost his mark to 4-2.
Wagner pitched an inning on Tuesday night in a non-save situation. Worked a hitless inning, walking 1. Brandon Phillips leads off the bottom of the 10th and takes a fastball for a strike. 96 miles an hour on Wagner's first pitch. Mets trying to head home with a winning road trip after winning 2 out of 3 in Chicago. Hit to right and foul. 0-2 to Phillips.
Always makes for a much happier flight home when you win on getaway day.
Except today, I don't think it would have mattered because I think everybody would have been asleep.
They're going to be hungry.
Hungry and tired.
Because I'm hungry.
Well, if you're hungry, everybody must be hungry. Hold over the bag, just foul. Chuck Merriweather looked like he was going to point the other way, but I think that was a foul ball.
Well, this is the second close call right down the third base line for the Mets. And that was, I think, closer than the other one.
But again, no argument from Mark Berry, the third base coach. David knew it was foul.
David reacting.
He's got a future in umpiring. Many years from now. And Phillips lifts one along the right field line, slicing away and into the crowd. Billy with 53 strikeouts in 43 innings. To shortstop. And Reyes has the 2-hopper and throws out Phillips, 1 away. So 1 out and nobody on here at the bottom of the 10th. In 2006, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York are teaming up to strike out cancer. For every K the Mets pitching staff registers, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York will donate $25 to the Hope and Heroes Children's Cancer Fund. If you want to help, please go to www.hopeandheroes.org. Here's Royce Clayton, 2 for 4 on the day. And Wagner misses 1-0. Clayton's off to a fast start as a Red, 8 for 19 in his 6 games since the trade. Wagner behind 2-0. Mentioned the strikeouts for Wagner, and he's always going to be impressive with his strikeout numbers. He's walked 18 batters in 43 innings. And he misses high to Clayton, 3-0. Well, in a 2-run game, you certainly don't want to be walking anybody. Because in this spot, a home run's the same as a walk. It gets the tying run to the plate. There's a strike, 3-1. Wagner, the 5th Met pitcher of the afternoon. Tom Glavine, another no decision, 6 1/3, 2 runs, 9 hits. Chad Bradford may be the hero of the day with his 2/3 of an inning. Got out of a bases loaded jam. 3-2 to Clayton.
And Jose Valentin with his glove. There's Ken Griffey lurking.
Griffey hoping that the Reds can get a base runner so that he can do some damage with one swing. Pitchers due up 4th in the inning. 3-2 pitch. Foul.
Hey, 2-run lead. Here's a heater. They can put it in play. No free passes.
Again, you know, you give up a home run, it's the same as giving up a walk as far as the game's concerned. They hurt your ERA, but so what? And Clayton hasn't had a home run all year. Struck him out. Wagner with the good heater, 97 miles an hour, and he fans Clayton. 2 men down.
Well, a little help from Clayton here. His ball way out of the strike zone, but that's what happens when you throw 95 plus. Probably got that rising fastball.
So the Reds are down to their final out of the afternoon. And here's Jason LaRue. 1 for 2. He's lined out, singled, drawn an intentional walk, and sacrifice. And Griffey has come out on deck to pinch hit if LaRue can keep it going. Foul back, 1-1. Mets will play the Astros at Shea tomorrow night with El Duque on the mound against Taylor Buchholz. 3 games with the Astros and 3 with the Cubs at Shea starting tomorrow night. Breaking ball, strike. And now the Reds are down to their final strike. One and 2 to LaRue. Struck him out, and the ball game is over. Billy Wagner with a 1-2-3 10th inning earns his 19th save, and the Mets, with brilliant defense and clutch hitting in the 10th inning, pull one out in Cincinnati to take 2 out of 3 in the series, and they win 4 out of 6 on the road trip.
Well, it's been a very good road trip. Anytime you go, whether it's a one city trip or a 3-city trip, if you can take every series, it's a terrific road trip. And there's one of the heroes right there defensively, Jose Valentin, who just continues to impress, and Willie Randolph's got to be a very happy camper.
Well, Valentin made a couple of sparkling plays. Cliff Floyd and Carlos Delgado had home runs. Endy Chavez had the clutch hit in the 10th inning that gave the Mets the lead. Mets taking advantage of an opportunity in the 10th after they kept the Reds off the board in numerous run-scoring situations. And the Mets take the rubber game, and yeah, Willie, you can exhale now. Final score, Mets 4, Reds 2. Be sure to join us for our next broadcast tomorrow night at 7 o'clock as the Mets begin a 3-game series at Shea with the Houston Astros. Coming up next, it's Nissan Post-Game Live. Now, plenty to do on a day game in Cincinnati, and an exciting ball game. Cliff Floyd And Carlos Delgado with the long balls early off Bronson Arroyo, giving Tom Glavine a 2-0 lead. Ryan Friel was able to tie it up with a double, and it stayed tied with some great defense played by the Mets as they stranded 3 in consecutive innings before the Mets got the big hit from Chavez in the 10th. Now for Keith Hernandez and Chris Connor, I'm Gary Cohen. Let's go to Matt Yeloff in our Sportsnet New York studios.
All right, thanks a lot, Gary. Coverage of the New York Mets continues here on SNY with Nissan Postgame Live. Ron Darling is here. He will break down this afternoon's win. We'll also have plenty of reaction from the Mets clubhouse, including comments by manager Willie Randolph. And don't forget, Daily News Live comes your way at 5, and then Geico Sports Night at 6. Ron and I return after a quick break. Welcome to Nissan Postgame Live. Next to Ron Darling, I'm Matt Yeloff. We're inside the SNY studios in Midtown Manhattan. Programming reminder, a friendly reminder, 5 o'clock. Daily News Live, Geico Sports Night follows that. The Mets in trouble, out of trouble, in trouble, out of trouble for the entire game, it seemed, and they win to nail down back-to-back series wins for the first time since the first part of June.
Yeah, and they did that on a road trip where they went 9-1. So they needed that game today to go home with a 4-2 record. They're still 19 games over 500, trying to get to 20 at Shea Stadium.
Yeah, and heroes in this game range from the big guys to some of the guys you don't hear about on an everyday basis. We take a look at highlights now. Bronson Arroyo, we know he can be trouble. He took care of the Mets back on June 19th at Shea. Second inning, Cliff Floyd on Arroyo big, his 10th home run of the year, so Floyd continues to thrive since the break.
More importantly, 3 home runs on this road trip and 7 RBIs.
Not too shabby. Tom Glavine on the hill. That's not Tom Glavine. Tom Glavine, maybe it was at one point, but it's not now. Tom Glavine on the mound for the Mets, looking for win number 12 on the season. Tommy Glavine, bottom of the 3rd inning, gets a little defensive help. Ramon Castro behind the plate, you know the deal. Day game after a night game, and Ryan Friel is running and cuts him down. Not too bad.
Well, you see why Castro, at one point, drafted by Houston as their #1 pick, has an outstanding arm as he nails the runner here.
Yeah, and remember that arm. It comes into play later in the game. Top 4, and it's Carlos Delgado at the plate. Carlos Delgado, we know about this slump. We've talked all about it, but he gets him here, his 23rd home run.
Well, sometimes his strength can be his weakness. That low pitch is where his power zone is. If you get it underneath that, that's where he strikes out. If you get raised it about a foot, that's where you end up with the big, long home runs.
And it's his first home run this month. That gives you an idea of how difficult things have been for Delgado lately. 2 men on base in the 5th. Glavine gives up the double to Ryan Friel. Ryan Friel is the poor man's Pat Burrell, I guess, right? He just beats up the Mets. Royce Clayton comes in. Jason LaRue comes in. The game is all tied up at 2-2, so Glavine hits that wall again around the 5th inning. Into the 6th now, still tied at 2. A runner on, and Edwin Encarnacion. Here he goes now. The double off the wall. It's called a ground rule double because a fan leans over, and that puts guys on 2nd and 3rd, so perhaps Glavine's day is coming to an end, Ron.
Well, the great thing about it, though, as Bradford's warming up, Willie Randolph decides to stay with Tommy Glavine.
And how about this play? Jose Valentin on the run, gets his man at home. Risky play.
It is a risky play, but it's an instinct play. Valentin's been around a long time. He knew he had a chance once Aurelia did not get a great jump at 3rd base.
Yeah, and he makes a nice throw and a nice play by Castro to get that tag down. So now it's Royce Clayton, and Royce Clayton, as you take another look at this play coming home, Royce Clayton trying to get something done here against Tom Glavine, but Glavine, like a cat off the mound, gets his guy, so still the Reds don't cash in with this situation. After an intentional walk to load the bases, look at this. Glavine off the mound. This time Arroyo laid one down, and they get their guy at home, so the Mets are out of trouble. We talked about that. In trouble, out of trouble. That was the MO. Ryan Friel leads off the 7th with a double, and then Glavine would walk the next 2 guys, so Glavine's day is over. 6 1/3, 9 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, just 1 strikeout. Chad Bradford in. Bases loaded in the 7th. And Chad Bradford, what can you say? He's been wonderful.
beautiful. Well, great slider here to get Hatterberg. He's retiring almost 85% of his runners.
And Brandon Phillips, remember what he did to the Mets at Shea about a month ago? Well, he goes down as well as David Wright takes care of business at third. We're still tied at 2. Into the 9th now. It's Pedro Feliciano. And Chris DeNorfia tries to steal, and there's Castro again.
Castro one-hops it, but what a play by Valentine. Short hop, lays his leg there, able to apply the tag, runner out at second base.
Yeah, over 30% of the guys who try to run on Castro have to go back to the dugout, as he is doing a very solid job from behind the plate when he fills in for Paul LaDuca. So now we're into extra innings. It's the top of the 10th. Xavier Nady is your pinch hitter. Xavier Nady had the day off because Endy Chavez started in right field. Both of these guys come up big. Here's Nady, a little bloop here to right field. Wrong play or right play by DeNorfia?
Wrong play there. He was thrown out stealing and then calls off Brandon Phillips and does not make the play in right field.
And here's Endy Chavez, shoots one to left. He comes up big again. This guy, I'll tell you what, every time he plays, he seems to play a factor in the game. And then how about this? Insurance run, not too bad. It's Carlos Beltran down the line. Chavez scores. So now Billy Wagner has a chance at a save for like the first time in a year, it seems, right? I mean, it was about 11 days ago. He gets Jason LaRue swinging to end the game. So the Mets go home happy, coming back to face Houston. Final in 10 innings, 4-2. So we talk about Delgado. We talk about Floyd. Those are the big guys. The little guys and defense certainly huge.
But really, if they did not have Chavez today, if you did not have Valentine's defensive plays, you would not have been able to get to extra innings. Mets now 7-5 in extra inning games, and big win today in Cincinnati.
Yeah, and we're going to talk more about Chad Bradford as well later, because what he did should not go unnoticed or not talked about. So we will get to that. Still ahead on Nissan Post Game Live, more game analysis. I mentioned that. Ron and I will continue to break down this game between the Mets and the Reds. And we go back to Cincinnati, where Keith Hernandez is standing by. We'll get his take on today's game. You know he loves defense. And Willie Randolph's comments following this win. 4-2 heading home. Houston is next. All that and more. It's coming up. We'll return after this. Ron and I back here in Midtown Manhattan. We join Keith Hernandez, who's in Cincinnati, Ohio right now. And Keith, did you know before we saw Jose Valentin every day, did you have any idea how sharp he was defensively?
No, I did not. He's been primarily a shortstop most of his career, and Gary noted a long time ago that of all the positions in the infield that he plays, second base is the one he's least accustomed to, and boy, he has just been fantastic, and that was a beautiful play he made there to throw out the runner at home plate.
Yeah, and how about that tag at second base on the steal late in the game? He kind of, weird position, took that throw and slapped down that tag.
Well, he got there late, and the throw was a little bit to the shortstop side of second base. I thought the runner was safe. I thought the umpire blew the call, but nevertheless, he got the tag down. The call went in favor of the Mets, and that was a huge play. Ramon Castro also threw out 2 runners today. Mets just are playing real solid ball.
Hey, Keith, left for dead by the Nationals, left for dead by the Philadelphia Phillies. Tell us about the play of Endy Chavez this year.
Oh, well, I never figured he was this kind of player neither, Ron, and we've had a chance to watch him now most of the year. And this takes 25 to win. He's part of that bench. I didn't realize he had such a strong arm, but he's very level swing. He stays level. He knows he's not a power hitter. If you throw him away, you throw him away at your own peril. And they got burned today in that double down the left field line that won the game. He was the right guy up in that situation. He's hitting over 300 with runners in scoring position. He's just been phenomenal.
How about Carlos Delgado? We know a home run's a home run, and that's good. But, Keith, how many days in a row or games in a row does Delgado have to show that he's doing something positive before he is technically or truly out of a slump?
Oh, well, shoot. He's not out of it, but I thought the last 2 days he's made little tiny steps, a little bit of progress. That home run he hit, Ronnie, was a pretty good slider down and in, and he's been out in front of that stuff. He stayed back at that at bat, and that's why he kept it in play, and he drove it out of the ballpark. His double last night against the left-hander into the gap, his last at bat, those are little itty-bitty steps you take towards breaking out. Now, when we can say he's out, usually when hitters break out of slumps, they break out in tears. So we will know, because he'll be probably putting a lot of 3-for-4s up there.
All right, Keith. Keith Hernandez in Cincinnati, thanks a lot. And, well, I guess we'll see you in the coming days or weeks, or who knows? I mean, he just kind of goes. He comes, he goes. He's Keith Hernandez. He can do that. Let's talk a little bit about Delgado for a second here. When a guy is in a slump, pitchers know a guy is in a slump. Is there a book on a guy like Delgado when he's not hitting well? Do pitchers follow a certain recipe?
Yes, and it's funny that Delgado has his own book, but now he's having trouble with it. But I think what happens to Delgado is that he does have a hole, and that's his weakness is inside, and the pitchers are just making some good pitches on him right now. He's a little in between, so he's missing those. When he's on a great streak, those pitchers' pitches they throw inside, he usually fouls them off, or at least puts them into play. He's not doing that right now.
All right, well, pitching was certainly key in the beginning of this game with the starters. Two very, very solid starters. We'll talk about Tom Glavine and Bronson Arroyo when we return on Nissan Postgame Live. Nissan Postgame Live continues in just a bit. Ron Darling here with us. But first, it's Gary Apple with a preview of what's coming up on Daily News Live at 5 o'clock. Hey, Gary.
All right, Matt, thank you so much. Coming up today at 5 on Daily News Live, more on the Mets, as well as a preview of a great pitching matchup tonight in Toronto. Mike Mussina facing off against Roy Halladay, two of the top pitchers in the American League. The Yankees opening a 3-game set north of the border, and we'll cross the pond to take a look at the opening round at the British Open. Tiger Woods, the defending champion, looking to regain his form after missing the cut at Winged Foot. And we'll discuss the latest on Barry Bonds. He was not, I repeat, not indicted today by a grand jury. All that more coming at 5 on Daily News Live. But first, back to Matt Yaloff and Ron Darling for more Nissan Postgame Live. Matty?
All right, thanks a lot, Gary. Big hour coming up, 5 o'clock, busy stuff. And let's talk about Bonds here for a second, Ron. What is your take on this? The steroids thing suddenly becomes like the second story as he faces trouble with the federal government and could face, at some point, some jail time.
Well, think about it this way. It's pretty amazing now that the steroid problem might be the last thing you worry about, especially in Bonds' case, because when you start messing with the government, and it's almost like money laundering, trying to hide money by giving cash to people, and the tax evasion and perjury, of course, is not taken lightly by the U.S. government. So big hot water for Barry Bonds.
Is it safe to say that Bud Selig hopes that Barry Bonds goes away after this season and does not come back?
Well, I think Bud Selig is not in an enviable position, I'll tell you. He wants to do something if Bonds is indicted, and I think if he tries to do something, he'll do something like they did to Ferguson Jenkins years and years ago when they found him crossing the border into Canada with drugs. So he was suspended for a while, even though he wasn't convicted yet. But baseball might try to do that to Barry Bonds.
All right, let's get back to the on-the-field stuff and Tom Glavine today. Tom Glavine has been phenomenal all season. Lately, we've noticed that he runs into issues mid-game. This is the 4th inning. He was on here.
What's interesting is that ever since he pitched on 3 days rest in Los Angeles, he has not been as sharp as he was before then. He just pitched 3 consecutive day games in this hot, hot weather in the dog days of July, August coming up. So I think literally he's a little physically spent. I think the 5th and 6th and 7th innings, though, today, he really showed a lot of guts because he has been giving it up in the 5th, and he did today, giving up a couple of runs. But he came back in the 6th, somehow worked out of that with a nice play by Valentin and a couple nice plays by himself. And he did make it into the 7th inning and only gave up 2 runs. So I know Bradford really helped him get out of that jam, but he did get into the 7th, something that starters have not been doing for the Mets.
What would really, call me crazy here, but is it out of the question that Tom Glavine would need some type of rest? Maybe miss a start. I know we expect Pedro throughout a season to miss something in the middle. Is it crazy to think Glavine maybe should sit for a start or two?
It might be a nice idea to have him sit for a start or two, but that's just not how he ticks. Tom Glavine needs to take that ball every single day. We talked about a 624th start today, so that's just how he works. He knows that through the course of the season, you're going to have some rough patches. He's having his now. and that's all right.
So he works through things rather than taking steps back from them. He just kind of, that's his MO.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about the baseball hero. I use the term loosely. Hero out of the pen today. One of them, Chad Bradford, just phenomenal. Chad Bradford comes in and just like Houdini almost, where you don't think he can get out of problems. He gets out of problems. 1 out and the 7th, bases loaded.
And he has to get Scott Hatterberg, a left-handed hitter. Everyone says that Bradford cannot get left-handed hitters out. And then he does his patented low sinker that gets the ground ball to Brandon Phillips, gets out of the inning. And if it was not for Chad Bradford, the Mets would not be going into extra innings. He was the key as far as pitching was in this game. The bullpen for the Mets, 3 2/3 of scoreless innings.
Chad Bradford, Darren Oliver, Aaron Heilman, more early in the season than lately, but these guys really have been the cement for this team. And give Willie Randolph credit in this. He did not want to mess up that pen by moving guys in and out to start when he needed spot starters.
Well, he knew his strength from the beginning of the season, and he decided not to change it at all, because I think that's been a great move by Willie. Everyone's been asking why Heilman doesn't get a chance, why Oliver doesn't get a chance. He knows his strength. He does not want to take away from that, and he'll shuttle starters in there. But it's been the bullpen mainly, especially the last month, that has kept the Mets as the #1 team.
All right, when you talk about strength, you got to be talking about Bronson Arroyo, because he's been nothing short of fantastic since joining this team. This guy throws a ton of fly balls. How the heck is he successful in that park?
Well, what's different from him than Eric Milton, who throws a lot of fly balls, is Milton has a straight fastball. What Arroyo does as well as any pitcher in baseball is he changes speeds. So you'll see a lot of guys behind on his fastball as they pop it up. You'll see guys out on their front foot on a slow curveball. So he knows how to pitch, how to change speeds. And coming over to this new National League, I know he started in Pittsburgh, but didn't pitch a lot. He has just been fantastic. And he's one of the reasons that Cincinnati's leading that wild card.
Yeah, certainly. And you made the point, I think, in the past when he's pitched, he is not used to being an ace. He was toward the back end of a rotation with a very good team. Now he's the front of the rotation with a team that's contending. Check out the fly ball leaders here. National League this season. I mean, there are some very good pitchers on this list. It doesn't mean if you throw a lot of fly balls, you have trouble necessarily.
No, a lot of times fly balls, like you said about Arroyo, is because he is able to change speeds and guys are out on their front foot and unable to center the ball.
Yeah, and when you're not throwing fly balls, if you're striking guys out, hey, good for you. And Bronson Arroyo did that today.
He did, 8 Ks, but also he had no walks. So if you're a pitcher who's going to throw some fly balls, okay, maybe you give up a couple solo home runs like he did today, but he wasn't affected by it, and Keith Hernandez mentioned it. The key to Bronson Arroyo, as he went through the meat of the Mets order there, is that he is not afraid to keep that ball, and he wants to pitch as long as he can, and that's refreshing. You don't always see it in a lot of pitchers now.
A ton of innings. He is a horse, no doubt. He's getting into that category of Livan Hernandez. I mean, he's got to do it for a number of years, but he's a horse.
Yeah, and like you said, you always thought of him as one of those bottom of the rotation kind of guys that, maybe pitch 5, 6, 7 innings, but not anymore. He has taken the ball, taken the mantle as the ace of the Cincinnati Reds.
All right, we come full circle to the play of the game, and we talked about Endy Chavez, and top of the 10th, here he is doing what he does best. Just Keith Hernandez said, level swing, goes with the pitch, doesn't try to do too much, but he does damage very, very often.
You'll hear all hitting coaches, say stay inside the baseball. Endy Chavez does that just about as well as anyone on the Met team.
I'm thinking if we're keeping track, and we're not, of the Nissan play of the game throughout the year, Endy Chavez has had a bunch of. We don't have standings for that. But
well, in Boston, they elect every year a 10th person award, and he'd be that person, 10th player award for one of the most valuable off the bench.
Incredibly valuable, and you didn't see it coming after Philadelphia last year. We take another break. Nissan Postgame Live continues. Ron Darling, Matt Yaloff here, and at 5 o'clock it's Gary Apple and the gang for Daily News Live. We'll be right back. Nissan Postgame Live continues now. Ron Darling here. Willie Randolph in Cincinnati before hopping a plane back to New York. Willie Randolph addressed the media. First up, the pen. Great job today.
Nice job by the bullpen. Tommy battled in there and kept us in there, and big outing for Bradford. Came in, got a nice out for us, and the rest of the guys just picked each other up. That's the way you're supposed to do it in the bullpen. But it's a nice comeback win, just a win that it's nice to win on the road and going home.
Really, how valuable has Endy been for you guys this year with everything he's done?
Well, he's been tremendous, man. You know, he's to me one of the best fourth or fifth outfielders, whatever you want to label him in the game. Defensively, no one better. Can throw, does a little bit of everything, speed, and he's got some big hits. Made a nice adjustment. You know, I mean, he didn't get credit for a lot of his hitting, but you know, with 2 strikes, he's made some adjustments on putting the ball in play, and today he did the same thing. Understands what he needs to do to adjust, and real proud of him because he had been the same way for a long time, but he made some adjustments working with Rick Down, and he's a tough out. And like I said, when he puts the ball in play, he always uses speed.
It was the 7th inning, the 2 plays at the plate. Looked like maybe Tommy, that's all he had was that play at home, do you think?
Excuse me, I'm not following.
Tommy on the Arroyo bunt or whatever it was. That was the only play he had probably heading up.
Yeah, I mean, it really was a forced play. I don't know why Castro tried to tag him. But yeah, I mean, that's, I'm sure Arroyo wanted to get it by him. But Tommy bounced off the mound pretty good. You know, he's won some Gold Gloves, I guess, in the past. But he's had the wherewithal just to stay under control and not panic and make the play at the plate.
Lee, how surprised were you that they let Arroyo hit in that situation?
I really don't think along with what they're doing. I mean, there's got to be reasons for what he does. He's a good hitting pitcher. He's got a couple home runs this year, so I guess he was still feeling pretty good. So I don't know, really get into what the manager does on the other side.
Is it important for you guys to bounce back after last night and take this one?
Well, it's not life or death, never is, and nice to win the ball game, get 2 out of 3 and get back home. That's the main thing. But yeah, anytime you are on the road and get a getaway day, it's always nice to get that 2 out of 3 and makes the plane ride a little sweeter going home and just get back in the winning ways. Yes.
All right, so he's all calm and he's he's basically like this all the time. But it's important to note that the Braves made a deal trading for Bob Wickman. Now, if you don't think the Braves are out of it, they're not out of it, because if they're making a trade to improve, they clearly think they're a contender either for the wild card or for the East.
And the Indians make this trade because they have a young Cabrera in their bullpen who's been setting up Wickman, who they're going to give the job of closer to. So Bob Wickman, a journeyman, but a good guy to close games. And the Braves have been struggling all year with their bullpen. They're going to try to have the portly Wickman try to get some saves at the back end of the games.
Yeah, and I bring that up because when you talk about building this lead in the early part of the season, this is when you say, I'm glad we have that lead, because when the Braves start coming on, you have a little cushion.
It's like a racehorse. You got to keep going, because you never know when you're going to hit a rough patch. And the Mets really have been doing a great job that even if they have a tough game like they did last night into this morning, they're able to bounce back like Willie says. And I think that is probably the strength of this team, is that even though they might have a couple of bad games in a row, they don't make it 4 or 5 or 6.
Right, and Willie Randolph mentioned Endy Chavez and the job he has done. He says nobody's better in the field. Let's hear from the Mets right fielder this afternoon.
What about that pitch you hit, that double?
It was a fastball outside, yeah.
Is that the danger zone for you? I mean, is that a place where they shouldn't be pitching you? Because it seems like you can go the other way with that a lot.
Well, I just trying to be aggressive with the fastball. And I saw how he struck out Reyes with the fastball outside. So I knew he liked to throw the fastball, and I just trying to be aggressive from the beginning, and he's gonna throw for a strike. I'm not gonna swing on it.
Endy, how comfortable are you with your role on this team this year?
Well, I feel comfortable because Willie's put me a lot on playing, so that made me be more comfortable on the field and more confident in the team that I got to do, so I don't be too much time outside the field. So.
Is it important to you, though, to be able to contribute as much as you have this year?
Well, yeah, it's important. Every part of the team is very important, and I just trying to help the team anywhere in the outfield when the guys need a day off or something. And I just trying to be ready for it.
When you were looking at teams this offseason, were the Mets your first choice, or did you look at a lot of different teams?
Well, no, I think I had an opportunity with Baltimore. But, I think it was a tough decision for me to be with the Mets. I just like to be playing So I think the chance to play a little bit more was here. So I think I'm doing it so far so good.
Do you prefer hitting in the 2 spot as opposed to hitting 7th or 8th in the order?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, of course, because that's the thing that I like. I like be a hit and run. Trying to let the first hitter run, get him over. I'm like a situation hitting, so I know I can do a lot of things like a second spot.
Endy Chavez there, 2 for 5 today, hitting .287, scores a run, drives a run in. How important is it for a guy like that to not only understand his job, but to accept his job as a non-everyday guy?
Well, remember, 2 years ago with the Montreal Expos, he was a starter every single day. So for a young guy to take the spot on the bench, and I think guys like Julio Franco are helping him also, and being ready, like he said, to play when Willie wants him to play and to be ready to play any position. I think it's a really kudos to Endy Chavez, and boy, what a year he's having.
Yeah, and it's a good thing for the Mets he did not go to Baltimore because it turns out they need him. You'll hear from Mets starter Tom Glavine after a break. More reaction trickling in from Cincinnati after this win on the road as the Mets head home. Ron and I return on Nissan Postgame Live after a break. No decision for Tom Glavine this afternoon. He goes 6 1/3, gives up 2 runs. Tom Glavine spoke with the media just a few minutes ago. Let's listen in.
Good. I felt like I threw the ball well. I've last couple games, it just seems like I have a 1 inning or 2 innings that kind of become difficult, that are kind of the turning point in the game for me. But today was the same way. I mean, I pitched well early, and then the 3rd time through the lineup, started getting into trouble a little bit, and that's kind of been the case the last couple times out, which I'm obviously well aware of and trying to do a better job of, but it's frustrating when it happens.
Are they making certain adjustments to you the 3rd time through the lineup?
I don't know. I mean, it's not like the 3rd time through I'm getting hammered or anything. It's just, it seems like the 3rd time through, be a ground ball base hit or a bloop base hit or, stuff like that, and then things kind of get going, and next thing you know, there's a couple runs on the board. But, at least today I felt good about my stuff, my location for the most part. It's just, trying to get over the hump a little bit in terms of, getting to a point where I can stay in there and get a decision and win a game, get back on the winning side.
Obviously very critical that you fielded your position well today.
Well, that's part of the deal. I lost the game a couple weeks ago because I messed up a bunt. So, you have a responsibility out there when you let go of the ball that you're another infielder. So that's something that I've always tried to work hard at and take pride in. And, was able to make a couple plays today that turned out to be good plays for us.
Is that a royal play? Is home, you think, the only way you can go there?
You know what? Once I got to it and I saw where the runner at 3rd was, it was, I didn't give it a second thought as far as going to 1st. I don't know if I could have gotten him or not, but it was, flipping it home was the much easier play.
How good has Chad Bradford been?
He's been good, real good. I mean, he's picked me up a number of times. He's been solid for us, and particularly, that portion of the game where you don't want to have to bring in Aaron or Dwanner. He's bridged the gap real well, getting the ball to those guys, and he's been phenomenal coming in with runners in scoring position and leaving inherited runners out there. So, he's kind of been the unsung hero a little bit for that bullpen. He's really helped bridge the gap a little bit.
I couldn't hear the first question that Dave asked you. Did you say you were upset about getting taken out?
No, not about taking out, just about some circumstances.
Does that mean your location? You like your location on those?
I thought my location was really good today.
Upset about circumstances. What do you think he's talking about?
I'll tell you exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about that the home plate umpire, did not give him the same pitches in the 5th, 6th, and 7th inning that he was giving him all day. All you ask from an umpire is to have consistency, and that did not happen for Glavine late in the game. He can't say it, but I can say it.
But you can say it. If they fine you, we'll just put it in the office kitty.
That's
hey,
right.
Does a pitcher vocalize that during a game to an umpire, or is that a no-no?
Well, it's kind of a no-no. I think as you're walking off the field, you might ask the umpire, is that pitch high, is it low, is it outside? There's a way to deal that. But when you're walking off after you've been taken out for the day, you're just really irate and steaming.
And Glavine acknowledged the job that Chad Bradford has done all season, today being one of those days. Here's Chad Bradford and his reaction to today's victory.
Well, you don't want to fall behind the count, but you don't want to give in to them either. It's kind of a tightrope you're walking, but try to get a ground ball right there. That's what I'm thinking, facing Hatterberg, and then also with Phillips, just trying to make him hit the ball on the ground.
You tried this part? You like coming in that situation? The challenge of it? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I come in that situation a lot this year, so you're kind of used to it. You know, the phone's going to be ringing in the middle of the inning. A lot of times it's me, so you just get ready and get in there and try to think about the situation too much. Just try to get out.
Look a little happier. We did win.
Jack Glev's called you an unsung hero in the bullpen. You feel that way?
I don't look at it that way. I'm just trying to do my job. That's it.
Do you think Willie's having more and more confidence with you against left-handed batters, too, as the season's kind of progressed?
I'm kind of going spurts with that, you know. I mean, I'll do well against them for a few days and then go hit a few days, you know. It's kind of, but I'm trying to get in that zone where I'm able to throw the ball in and away and work the count a little more, because they see the ball a little bit better than right-handers do. So I have to hit my spots. There's a little more room for error with right-handers. So, but it's getting better.
Would you prefer to be flying under the radar instead of one of them doing all?
Oh, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I'd come in, you know, every day ready to go in the bullpen. So whatever happens outside of the on-the-field stuff is, you know, doesn't matter to me.
What allows a guy like Chad Bradford to come in and deal with inherited runners as effectively as he does?
Well, listening to him, it seems like his heart rate is about 32. I mean, he just is totally relaxed, and I think that's what you have to do, and then he executes. And don't forget, this guy has pitched in the playoffs with the Oakland Athletics, so that's going to prove really to be a big help in October.
All right, and tomorrow we have El Duque going against the Astros. It's hit or miss with this guy at home, not as great as on the road, Ron.
Remember, though, those numbers are skewed from pitching in Arizona. Pitching in the more Cabernet Shea would be much better.
All right, at least you're keeping me honest here. There's always like a, oh yeah, but remember. That's going to do it for Nissan Postgame Live. For Ron Darling, I'm Matt Yaloff. Don't forget, Daily News Live at 5, but after this, we join the 2005 9-Ball Championship. Already in progress. Enjoy. Take care.